Hello, good evening, everybody. Welcome along, excuse me, to your different kind of Rangers Rabble podcast. I think this is a Europa League special, where we're going to be covering both games: Athletic Club versus Manchester United, and Tottenham Hotspur versus Bodo Glimt. On the Athletic Club Man U game tonight, we have Alex. Alex, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I feel like I'm no relegated to the B game tonight, so I am all right tonight.
And relegated to the B game tonight is Connor. Connor, how are you?
Listen, I don't think this is the B game at all. I think this will be a decent match, not too bad at all. Martin, if you really want to, you could always watch the C game because Chelsea are playing as well,
Chelsea playing tonight, are they? Oh.
They're playing Real Betis.
No, they're not. Chelsea are playing Djurgården.
That's it. It's 40 and
They're not playing in my garden. Sorry, that was a terrible joke.
That's a Connor joke right there.
That was a Connor joke on it. That was a terrible joke. That's my apologies.
The delivery was never as good as mine, though. You know what I mean?
No, your jokes are the best, Connor. Your jokes are the best. Can I just say, by the way, as well, I'm sporting our Make Rangers Great Again t-shirt, folks. Comes with, rang one, with Rabble badge as well, so you know it's official Rabble merchandise. If you would like to get your hands on one of their bad boys, then email rabbleisland@gmail.com and give Donald your sizes, what you're looking for, and he will get back to you and get that sorted. Right, okie doke, let's start with Tottenham versus Bodo Glimt. Connor, give us the team news from both teams. Good luck with Bodo Glimt.
That's where I maybe drew the short straw.
Quick rundown of the game, if you will, Connor.
Okay, well, your starting lineup, Spurs, as per is the norm under Ange Postecoglou, go with a 4-3-3. They've got Vicario in goals, a back four of Pedro Porro, Mickey van de Ven, Romero, and Destiny Udogie. A midfield three of Vez Bissouma, Rodrigo Bentancur and James Maddison, and then a front three, which is Dominic Solanke through the middle, Brennan Johnson on the left-hand side, and Richarlison out on the right-hand side. On the bench, they've got Whiteman, Tell, Sarr, Odegaard, Moore, Kulusevski, Gray, Spence, Davies, Danso, and Austin. And here we go with Bodo Glimt. I will do my best not to butcher these names here, okay? Bodo Glimt also going with a 4-3-3, so this is going to be a very attacking game according to the lineups I'm seeing. You've got Hacken in goals, Sovold, Nielsen, Gunderson, Bjorken in defence. In midfield, you've got Haig, Fett, and Saltness. This is actually his name, is Saltness, apparently. And in a front three of Ho, Mata, and Blomberg, not Bloomberg, the TV channel, but Blomberg. And a rather smaller bench than Spurs'. They've got Solly, Feyerlund, Mo, Bjorfoot, Kyer, Bronbo, Hansen, and Auckland on the bench. Pretty sure I've done quite well there with those names, to be fair. Listen, it's an interesting game, this. Bodo Glimt, underestimate Bodo Glimt at your peril. And yes, Paul, you're quite right. They are a Wi-Fi password, which does mean that given Spurs lost to Karabag earlier in the campaign, if they lose this, they'll be the only team to lose to a Wi-Fi password and a carrier bag in the same season. So that would really sum things up for Spurs. I think they done well to get past Lazio. Bodo Glimt, they're a team that score goals, but they're also a team that concede a lot of goals. They're very similar to Spurs in that aspect, that defensively they can be got it, but they're a real threat going forward. That's why I think this game has the potential to be a really exciting tie over both legs, because I think there's plenty of goals in this. Spurs, it's all or nothing for Spurs in terms of the Europa League. We know that. We've seen in the build-up to this, even, Andrew spoke about it in the press conferences. He wasn't happy that some people were seemingly playing down the importance of the Europa League. Some people saying that if Spurs were to win the Europa League, they really don't deserve to be in the Champions League, which, look, it's a meritocracy. Winning the Europa League gets you into the Champions League, so they would deserve it on that basis. But they have been shocking this season, much like the team that Alex are watching, Man United. It'd be the back door in for them. But this is huge, and this is not a gimme for Spurs. And on paper, you go, well, should be shooting in for Spurs to get to the final, but it really isn't. Bodo, first Norwegian team to make it this far, and one of the sides who really, I think, have taken full advantage of the Conference League coming into existence, because ever since they got that first taste of European football there, it's been great. And I'll just end on this point and let Alex come in with his news. There is history between Ange Postecoglou and Bodo Glimt, because of course Ange Postecoglou was the Celtic manager when Bodo Glimt knocked them out of the round of 32 in the Conference League 2 years ago. So that's an interesting side story to things as well tonight.
Well, Alex, mate, follow that up if you will. Athletic Club versus Manchester United team lineups, Alex, and your thoughts on the game.
Right, where did I start? No, I mean, I'm just going to go straight on the lineup. I'm not getting all the way to what Connor's just done. He's giving you the whole Ali McCoy's route then. So I'll start with the home team. So you've got Athletic Club, Arrizabalaga in goal, DeMarcos, Vivian Alvarez, and Bericic as your fullbacks, Delegarte and Waraziga. I don't think he really played in the last leg. Both Williams brothers on the wings, Berengura through the middle, and then Sanade up top. The bench, we have Unai Simon, Borja, Paredes, Gorosabel, Luque, Nunes, Prados, Vesca, Canales, Gomez, Jallo, and Gutierrez. And then your United team, we have Onana in goal, Yoro, Maguire, and Lindelof as your back line, Mazraoui and Dorgu as your wing backs, Ugarte and Casemiro as your holding, Fernandes and Garnacho as your two attackers, with Højlund leading the lineup. And a bit of a bench for United, we've got Bayendia, Heaton, Amas, Casamo, Shaw, De Ligt, Fredrickson, Eriksson, Menu, Mount, Giallo, and Manatato. So,
can we just say before you go any further that Alex did come from the Paul Merson School of Pronunciation?
Oh, that was terrible. There's some in there, by the way. I was like, Jesus, thought it'd be all right, but no, United was just like, no, I'll not do that. But a very young bench for United. They've really struggled with injuries at this point, and they've gone very, very young. I'm surprised they have, but looking at the lineups, you've got to say Athletic Club pretty much went with the same lineup they did against Rangers, and I think the form of United has been very shocking, especially in the league. And I think that it's going to be a very tough game. A lot of guys in the comments, we were thinking at ourselves, is there going to be any dodgy decisions tonight for Athletic Club? But listen, it's just going to be a game of football that, as we said in the first leg, it's only the home tie. It's only half time once this game finishes, and the teams are going to have to reassess. But Man United are very much in the same position as Tottenham. They need to win the Europa League to salvage anything for their season. Mm-hmm. They're guaranteed absolutely no European football next season. They've got nothing. So for both teams, this is it. It's all or nothing. If they go tonight and the game next week and get nothing out of it, then their seasons have been absolutely abysmal for both teams. You've got to say that both managers are probably fighting to keep their jobs, of Ruben Amorim and Ange Postecoglou. This is the only chance they've got of getting any sort of European football, and it'll be interesting to see the approach they take. United were very poor at the weekend. They were lucky to get away with a one each draw. So I think that this United team are going to have to come out all guns blazing tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Connor, Alex actually makes a very good point. In terms of Tottenham, in terms of Ange Postecoglou, most Spurs fans that I can see, when you listen to a wee bit of Talk Sport or whatever, because we are also brought to you by the Talk Sport fan network as well, people. There doesn't seem to be many Spurs that are very much Ange in. It seems to be Ange out. And a lot of people are saying, Connor, that even if he goes on to win the Europa League, which, let's be honest, it's Spurs, so they probably won't. But even if he does go on to win the Europa League, they still want him out.
Yeah, it's understandable, because the reality is, let's not understate this. This game's huge for them, but they've got a huge game this weekend as well, Martin, because this weekend Spurs go away to West Ham. If West Ham win that game, Spurs finish this weekend fourth bottom of the Premier League, and a real chance that that's where they will stay. And so I think, winning the Europa League isn't going to salvage that. He is proven to be poor after it. And again, in some ways he'd be a victim of his own success in the Europa League to a degree, because winning that and getting into the Champions League, you're then going to question, as Spurs fans, and you imagine that the board will do and Daniel Levy might do, well, okay, but where do we go next season then? What's the future? Because is Ange Postecoglou going to get you a run throughout the Champions League? Is he going to improve the fortunes in the league? He kept saying this season, Martin, for how long, that, you know, if it wasn't for all the injuries, if he just got his players back, well, he got them back. And it's still been poor. It's still been as poor as it was. And I think that's the crux. So I agree. Regardless if he wins the Europa League, I feel his time is probably up. I think he'll win it. If he wins it, I think what will happen is, you know, Daniel Levy will have the conversation with him. Thanks for bringing us a trophy, Ange, which will be the first time in 17 years if he pulls it off. But time to go. It happened to Juan de Ramos after he won the Cup in 2008, and the league form was so poor they had to sack him. And I just think that's where Ange is finding himself. As much as he'll do something that Pochettino couldn't do, that Mourinho couldn't do, that Conte couldn't do, and that's win a trophy. Although I'm still convinced that Manchester United will probably go on and win this Europa League, personally.
Yeah, I must admit, I do tend to agree with you. Just quickly, Connor, before I head over to Alex, this might sound a bit crazy asking this question, but who's favourite tonight?
Well, listen, I think on paper, Spurs would be your favourites, but I don't think there's much in it. I really don't. I think if you were saying Spurs were maybe evens, then at best you'd be 2-1, 3-1 Bodo Glimt, because they are a very decent side and they have at times punched above their weight. A lot of people thought when they were taking on Lazio that would be that for them, that would be the end of their road. It wasn't. And let's not forget that they've not had an easy path. Bodo Glimt getting to where they've got to, it's been tough. You know, beating was it Juventus? I think it was Juventus, PSV, something like that, in the first knockout round, and then Lazio. PSV, that was it. PSV, beating PSV, not easy. They're no mugs, we know that. And then Lazio, obviously difficult. And so I think Spurs need to be on it, because Bodo will punish them. And if Spurs don't take a lead over to Norway, that is a tough ground to go to. It really, really is.
Yeah, and I must say, I'm over a minute now, Alex, into the Athletic Club Man U game. Still waiting on my other TV for the Tottenham game to kick off. But anyway,
the Tottenham game had a minute's silence for the Pope.
Yeah, they both did. They both games did. Alex, Athletic Club started on the front foot.
They have a wee bit. They've come out United. They're obviously just trying to get in behind. They're doing a lot of long balls. They're trying to get past this back five, but here comes Nico Williams. Good ball in. Oh, that was a bit of a worry there for Doggy. He didn't know what to do with the ball there, but he's put it out for an early corner here to Athletic Club.
Yeah, I mean, defensive wise for Dorgu there, has he got to be more aware, Alex, of what's round about him?
I mean, there's nobody behind him. There's nobody even near him. He's got time to take that ball down, take a touch and move, but I think he just panics. The ball comes to him and he just knees it out of play. So it's a very early corner here to Athletic Club. It's going to be a tough one because we know what they're like on the wings. They will just run at them. And the wing backs for Man United have got to be switched on.
We are, by the way, underway at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Good.
And we should just say to people, because Martin, I don't think, did say, but if you could try and avoid spoilers, folks, that would be appreciated. Spurs are in early here, and Spurs have scored. What's an early lead for Spurs? Brennan Johnson's the man with the goal. That is a lightning fast start. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I mean, it was a nothing ball into the box that you didn't feel was going to go anywhere, but I want to see this back because I'm not entirely sure how that found its way in the back of the net. And Jimbo, I'm allowed to be a spoiler for the chat given that I'm on stream. I kind of have to react, I'm afraid, my friend.
Oh, United are a bit sneaky on the ball here. They're just struggling to get this away. The press from Athletic Club is just keeping them at bay.
Well,
yeah, I'm trying to understand what happened there. Like Brennan Johnson's got a free kick
for a barge in the back, but then Porro whips it in. Richarlison heads it back across, and then Johnson gets the follow-up header at the back post. Bodo not happy with what they perceive as the shove and the build-up. I have to be honest and say that I think you'd be hard pushed to give that foul, because for me that's what you'd call natural football contact. They're both going for the ball, and he's been out muscled. So I think Bodo, it's a poor start for him. It's a poor goal for them to concede, but plenty of time for them to change things around, you know. But Brennan Johnson,
the ball went in the back of the net. That's what happened.
Yeah. But Brennan Johnson was, he would not have been in that bingo card for a headed goal tonight.
As the ball comes in for the right, O'Connor, is it Richarlison that heads it back across?
Oh, it's 1-0. Alejandro Garnacho. Oh, he gets a lucky deflection, and the flag is up. The flag is up. But that was a goal that I want to watch this again. It doesn't look like he's offside. I want to know where the offside comes in here. So Garnacho's on.
Yeah, he looks just off, Alex.
He's off. He just goes just too early. But it's a very poor challenge from the Bilbao defenders.
It's poor. A break of the ball. It's a break of the ball, Garnacho. It's a decent finish.
But he is offside, so it remains goalless here.
He looks just off.
Spurs were living a little bit dangerously at the back there. A slightly under-hit pass back to the goalkeeper. Vicario gets the clearance just before the Bodo Glimt attacker gets to him, but he never...
Again there, Connor, as a goalkeeper yourself, does he have to go with his right foot there?
He should be, yeah. He should be, because when he goes with his left foot, that allows... He's allowed the ball to travel further to take it on his left rather than just going with the right for me, and it allowed that slight scare. I mean, he got rid of it in the end, but he never looks comfortable, Martin Vicario, in that position when he's having to deal with a ball at his feet quickly, so... he'll not be thanking his defenders for that, that's for sure. But Bodo pace forward, although that's a poor ball.
In terms of this Europa League, Alex, for Manchester United, is it? I mean, we know the financial position that Man U are in. You know, people, and I say this all the time, but people go batshit crazy over Man City and etc. And Man U are the team that have spent more and are laying off minimum wage workers. Is it imperative for Man U to win this Europa League and get into that Champions League? Just financially.
As a club, 100%. I mean, you look at the players that they're talking about wanting to buy. You know, they're wanting to buy like your Victor Gyökeres from Sporting Lisbon. He's not going to be cheap by any amount. But as you're saying, they're laying off minimum wage workers just to make do. Saying, "Oh, we'll not do like club parties and stuff, and we'll try and keep the finances to a minimum." But they don't have the finances right now to even keep it to a minimum. If anything, they need to be selling players. So this Europa League is going to be massive in terms of them at least getting some money. I mean, a club like Manchester United surely can't have to thrive on that Champions League money. They can't have anything else. So winning Europa League is one thing, but they have to have the Champions League money. And that was a great chance
there, Alex. Sorry for Bilbao.
I was just about to say a great shot there from Berengura. Poor from Bruno Fernandes. Ball comes across. He gets it just edge of the box, hits the shot, and it is a good save by Onana just to pass it around the post. But again, all the momentum right now is with Bilbao.
I'm surprised Fernandes wasn't blaming somebody else for that. Yeah.
Ball comes in, very poor corner. Another corner here to Bilbao. Again, Bruno Fernandes complaining that he's been pushed over because he's muscled out to header.
I can't go that Fernandes. Great footballer. But
does he win? And it's just wide of the post.
Difficult header that though, Alex.
He's off balance as it comes in. Definitely off balance. He's obviously trying to be marked by, I think it's Mazraoui, and he's just trying to get it back across goal, but he's at the wrong angle to get it. But it's all
that's a blow over the top. Oh, what a chance that is, by the way. James Maddison, I mean, just an absolute, talking Route 1 football, it was just a ball launched over the top by Romero, and Maddison looked like he was getting the end of it, but he couldn't quite sort his feet out in time to get the strike proper, and he's ended up just hitting it with the side of his foot and it's going over the bar. I think he should do better there, because I think he could probably bring that down before he shoots even as well, because the keeper doesn't really come out for it and command his area. So, yeah, another big chance there for Spurs. That could have been 2-0. And I tell you, this game has been played at some pace so far.
I mean, that is a corner. I think you're doing that a wee bit of a disservice. Has Maddison got to score? I know it's a difficult technique. It's Route 1, and I'll talk about Bodo Glimt defensively in a second, right? But it's Route 1 over the top.
What ball that is through?
Should Maddison be doing better with that?
Well, it's a tough one to judge coming over. He's got to get a clean boot to it. The fact he doesn't, and it comes off the side, so it's almost a flick. He's ended up doing. I think he's got to do better in that aspect, certainly. But it is a tough take. We've seen it before, though. I remember, was it Robin van Persie? I think scored a goal like that for United and stuff. So, yeah, I think he should do better personally. If I'm being uber critical of it, but yeah.
Bodo Glimt corners seem to be struggling with balls into the box, regardless of what angle they come from.
Yes, well, quite fitting that they're a Wi-Fi password you're on and they're struggling. It's all coming together. But
do you know what I done, Connor? I can't take it out to show you, and that doesn't sound right.
Why are you looking down?
While I'm looking down, I know. I've got a desktop computer that doesn't have Wi-Fi in it, right? So that's why I use the Ethernet cable.
Mm-hmm.
But I got one of these wee USB things you plug in that captures the Wi-Fi.
Yes.
And I'm using that instead of my Ethernet cable, and so far I've had no issues.
Good. Well, it's happy days.
Which is what I meant by I can't pull it out and show you it, because I can't pull it out the computer to show you it.
Because it would be you'd crash and burn.
Yeah.
Tottenham are going to get a corner here. I think Bodo need to try and calm the pace down just a touch, because I think it's suiting what Spurs want to do more than it is Bodo now. According to Dado Puzzle's Blue Boots, they're missing 3 first-team players. Maybe that's had an impact, but I think they just need to try and see this corner out first and then calm the heads. Alex
Bilbao have to score there.
I mean, that's a great chance from Inaki Williams. Free as you like header. He's so open in the middle. He just has to put it in the back of the net, and he puts it over the bar. I don't know how he's managed that. I mean, Onana's went the complete opposite way. He's left the goal gaping for him, and he still misses it. So that's a massive let-off for Manchester United. Massive let-off.
Well, it's a scrap and then headed over by Maddison.
Yeah, that is chance of the game. It's only 11 minutes gone, but chance of the game so far. And look, regardless of how poor Man U have been, Alex, this year, in Europe, they seem to find a way. You have to take those chances.
You do. They do seem to find a way regardless. I mean, I look back at the Lyon game of the last round, and they seemed to be in front, and they were behind by 2, managed to pull it back. But if you're an Athletic Club, that's the chance you take. I mean, you're not going to get too many easier chances than that to score, and yet you've still missed it. So if you're an Athletic Club, you're kicking yourself for that one. But they will keep coming forward. This back three of United has been shaky all season, and if they're getting chances like that when there was 3 defenders in the middle, it's probably not going to be long before we see another chance for Athletic Club.
Mm. Connor, have you been surprised at the start that Tottenham have made here?
Not really, because it's what Spurs tend to want to do. They tend to try and come out quickly. I'm surprised they scored so early on. I must admit. I certainly wouldn't have had Spurs scoring inside the first minute of the game before Bodo had really had a touch of the ball. But I'm more surprised that Bodo thus far have been quite happy to play into the Spurs style. They've got good footballers, Bodo. And they'll press. And listen, as I said before the game, they're a team who have, like Spurs, defensive frailties, and they do concede goals, but they also score plenty of goals. So I'd be amazed if that's the last goal we see tonight for either side. But yeah, it shows Spurs are throwing everything into the Europa League. It's what they've been doing, you know what I mean? Brentford apparently have just taken them against Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. Did you say penalty?
They were asking for one, but it never was a penalty. But this referee seems to be letting a lot go there, because there was a foul there on Dorgu, and he just let them play on. 2 hands in the back, pushed him over, and it was just right. Keep going.
Do you know one player I would like to hear more about, actually? And Connor, I'll come to you with this before I go to Alex. Mazraoui at Man U. What have you made of him?
Not an awful lot. I think it's been hard to judge because I don't feel he's been of late. He's certainly been important to them, and he's been in, in starting more often than not. But earlier on in the season, not so much. So it's difficult. I think he's decent. Is he somebody that I would consider a massive miss if he were out for Man United? Probably not at this stage. Because as good as he is, he's also got one or two wee mistakes in him, and you go, ooh. But overall, I'd say fairly middling. He's one that I could see Ruben Amorim wanting to keep about next season, though. To be fair to him, because you can't get rid of everybody as much as a lot of people would like you to when you're like the way Man U have been, or Spurs have been, or Rangers this season. You can't. You've got to keep some players. He would be one. I imagine they'll probably try and keep for another year. Silence is great in a podcast, isn't it?
No, hold on. Apologies. Hold on. I was struggling with my screen there, but it's fine. It's sorted. It's cool. How we doing in the Tottenham game, Connor? Whilst I try and see, I had my screen separated, and now they've came together, and it's went mental. How we doing, Connor, in the Tottenham game? While I sort this out.
Yeah, look, since the goal, it's been even-ish. I mean, Spurs have had that massive chance with James Maddison. They've had a corner kick they didn't do a lot with, and they end up. Bodo have tried to push the issue, and certainly Spurs created their own scare with Vicario, but it's been fairly even since then. As I say, the pace of this game thus far, it has been a frantic pace. It's been one end to the other. Without there being an awful lot of goal mouth action, I would say. There's been quick turnovers, so I think Spurs will feel. I'm sure they'll feel they want to get themselves 2 up in this as quick as possible and really try and put this game to bed. In what is essentially the first quarter of this tie.
Yes, I'm actually thinking that.
There's a corner picked on by Richarlison, and Doggy totally miskicked that. That fell to him right at the edge of the box there. You felt he was going to just smash that into the net, but miskicked it straight to Bodo defenders. Spurs are still pressing it though. It's back to Doggy. Second time lucky, blocked again, and it's hit the referee, so it'll be a drop ball.
I'm beginning to think, Connor, that you might have the better game.
Well, this was the game I wanted to watch because I felt it would be a better game personally. So, Doggy, Donald, Doggy, Destiny, Doggy. I can have a go at me. I never named him, right? It's not my fault. Ask his parents.
To be fair, his name, it was his destiny.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, dear me.
I'll just take my leave now, will I?
Yeah.
I will say that United are trying to be they're trying to slow this game right down. They're just trying to play it around the back, but a few times they've tried to do that, and Athletic have pounced on it. They've just not been clinical and getting a shot away. But United taking a lot of chances here just to give the game back to Athletic Club. Very high press from Man United, but they're just leaving players open.
That's what Amorim does, though. That's the problem that he's had all season, though, isn't it?
It definitely is. And we've seen early diving from Sanade up top. He's just trying to get the referee to give him the decisions. There was no contact, and then he went appealing for a red, but absolutely nothing in it.
Nah, it's a dive. It's an absolute dive.
That was a full-on dive.
Well, again, though, should the referee not be booking him in that situation?
They should be booking him for simulation, but again, they're just leaving him to it. That's a great ball over to... Oh! What a block that is on the line. That should be 1-0. Sanade with a shot, and I think it's not Udogi, I'm listening to you now. Dorgu on the line, and it was actually a great block because that should be 1-0 Athletic Club.
Oh, he's got to score though, Alex.
100% got to score. I mean, it's a great run from Inaki Williams down the line, bursts away from all the defenders, cuts it across, and the shot he's got to put it anywhere, but the defender's right in the post, and he manages to block it, and it's actually a bit of a car crash. Oh, I mean, Onana's on his backside, and he's got all the time in the world to hit it, and he hits it right out of doggy. It's actually Lindelof, but I mean, he's got to score that. There's no way he's missing that.
I mean, anywhere else. I mean, who is it? Lindelof on the line knows
There's
absolutely
Lindelof on the line.
nothing about it.
He knows nothing about it. I mean, Onana's lying on the ground, so he's not saving it. So it should be 1-0. Right now, it should be 2-0 to Athletic Club, and they've not even had a goal yet because they're just wasting their chances.
Mm-hmm. Puts a little bit into perspective our performance against Atletico, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Like, there's a
Oh,
lot
yes.
of waste.
Actually, sorry, I should say I was sent this today by our very own Donald. There you go. If you can see it properly there. So thank you very much to Donald.
Reaction to reading that comment there, went the corner. It was up for ages, and it was like, oh, I better mention that.
Can I say that I've got about 3 screens on the go right now, and I can't always look at your faces? So,
what do you mean you've got about 3 screens? So have you got like 2 and a wee bit of one, or have you actually just got 3 screens?
Or I could have 3 and a wee half of one. How do you know? You can't see.
Oh, you could have 3 and a half. Aye. All right, John Cena.
But yeah, thank you very much, Donald, for sending me that through. And of course, he did send me through as well the Make Rangers Great Again t-shirt, which is available now from rabbleisland@gmail.com.
Blue Max Xerxes is injured. He,
just to cover you actually, Alex, what I like as Martin was saying there about maybe shows you a performance against Athletic. They don't, even the games before they were playing us, they hadn't scored a hell of a lot of goals in their games. They were just sort of winning by a goal here and there. And that, against Man United, you'd think they're going to need to find their shooting boots right, because Man United, for all they've been criticised, they will score. I mean, they proved against Lyon that they're capable. I mean, they'll just throw Harry Maguire up front if all else fails.
I mean, they definitely will. They've got to go for the goals tonight. They've not been, as you're saying, overly eager to score. They don't get many goals, as you're saying. But United are giving them the opportunities tonight, Connor. They're just parting, letting them get through. So if they can find their shooting boots, they definitely will get goals. I'm not too convinced by their striker. Is it Sanade? Doesn't seem to be the man for him. He dives a lot. Doesn't really get many opportunities to have a strike. Usually comes from their wingers, but I think here they come again. Sanade again at wide. He's going to have to try and find Inaki Williams in the middle. He's already thrown himself down. He's trying to get a penalty when he's still got the ball.
Can I just say, that's atrocious for singing the blues. That's
there's a lot of diving.
A
minimal amounts of contact and throwing themselves to the ground.
Yeah. Again, I'm looking at there, Alex. Yeah, he's just going down for the sake of going down. Maybe you get away with that in Spanish football.
Maybe, but not at that stage. He's in the box. He's got all of the ball.
That is.
And he's still going down. Like,
Richarlison, that's terrible.
Madrawitin, I saw one there though.
Again, no. Let me just see this here again. Oh, to be fair, the boys kicked him a belter.
Mm-hmm.
Right on the knee as well. Oh, right on the knee.
There.
Welcome to the park, by the way, new member. Thanks very much for joining us, Ross.
I think, I could be wrong, but I think Ross was a member before, so I don't know if that's maybe a renew of subscription or an upgrade.
Possible. But...
He's upgraded. He's upgraded to sponsorship tier, Ross. Thank you very much.
Oh, well, thanks very much indeed, Ross. Yes. And of course, Ross, as you should know, anybody who upgrades to the sponsorship tier automatically gets a piece of the hair that Martin cut off a few months ago.
Yes, I've kept it on ice. That's a foul there, Alex. Garnacho's causing them problems.
Anytime he gets on the ball, he's causing them problems down that side, and Bericic just struggled there fully. He's just stuck a leg out, and Garnacho's gone down. They've got a free kick right in the edge of the box, so it'll be good just to whip this right in. As Connor mentioned his name, they'll probably try and get Harry Maguire up at centre forward and try and get him up for this goal. So it'll be interesting to see how they whip it in, but it's not in range for a shot. He's definitely got to whip this in the box.
Timothy Sharp's asking, Martin, what's the owner's tier? That gets you free entry into all live events, and it also helps to support the podcast further. It gets you one-on-one chats with the guys, and it gets you special backstage access to certain shows as well.
That was such a waste of a free kick.
I thought you were going to say that's such a waste of a membership.
No.
I'm sorry, I mean, that was just too perfect.
You could not have timed that any better.
Just they were right on the edge of the box, and all of a sudden the ball's back with Onana. It was just such a waste.
Can I just say, Jordy's asking thoughts on the Barca game last night, guys? One of the best games of football I've watched in a long time.
Aye, unbelievable. Such a great game of football, and it'll be interesting to see the return leg of that game, because it was all go from the first whistle. I mean, it took Marcus Thuram 30 seconds to score one of the quickest goals. It was such a great goal as well. Just the cheek to do a flick like that away from home, it just showed. And then every goal was just trying to one up the last. So such a great game of football, and it's going to be a great return leg.
Yeah.
Connor,
game of the Champions League so far, I think.
Oh, 100%. Aye. It's one of the best games I think I've ever missed. To be honest with you, I watched the highlights set though. I missed it because I was busy recording content for you fine folk in the comments. But yeah, a great game. I was surprised actually. I think although they were 2-0 up and then 3-2 up, I still think that's a brilliant result for Inter Milan in terms of going and showing your intent. I mean, a lot of people I think have felt that we might get Barca, PSG in the final. They're the two most entertaining teams left in the competition, of course, yeah. But Inter have showed how good they could be yesterday under Inzaghi. Yes, they're pragmatic at times. Yes, they're stubborn. But by God, have they got good players in that side who can hurt you? And they proved that yesterday. Although
it did look at certain points, though, Connor. It did look at certain points, though, Connor, that they were going that defensive, that they were just inviting Barcelona on, and I don't know, they looked shaky a few times for me. All right, okay, they scored 3 and Barca scored 3, so maybe that's a wee bit harsh on Inter, but they looked as if, you know when Italian teams in the past, Connor, they used to score a goal or maybe 2 and go defensive. You couldn't get near them.
Oh no, sorry, free kick was coming in there for Spurs. Yeah, and I think that's a dangerous game to play, especially when Barca have got a guy like Lamine Yamal in their side, and obviously the experience of Robert Lewandowski up there. But that's a gamble to allow them to come on to you, because Yamal is a superstar. That young fella, dear me, at his age to be that good. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, honestly, how are you that good at that age? At anything, never mind football. He's already got an international European winners medal to his name. He's got a Copa del Rey to his name now. I'm pretty sure they're going to go on and win that La Liga title now. Why not add the Champions League? I mean, what a hell of a year for him. If he gets all 4 of them wrapped up in the one season, that would be incredible. And for Barca as well, to get themselves back winning the top European competition again after a few years since they last done it. I think was it Luis Enrique? I think was probably the last one that won it with them. So, fair play to them for rebuilding. And Yamal, and do you know the great thing about a club like Barca is they don't even have to worry about, is he going to go to bigger clubs? Or Barcelona are big enough that he could just stay there. I'm not saying he will, but he could. I mean, Lionel Messi did it until he passed his prime, so you never know.
Now, Lionel Messi done it until Barca could no longer afford to keep him.
Oh, he did, yeah. He didn't even want to leave. Ronaldinho was similar. He stayed there for a long time and then went to AC Milan in the last couple of years of his career, sort of 08, 09. Guys like Henry, that were there for periods. So, but as you say, money ultimately meant they had to let him go.
Is Yamal right now the best winger in European football?
Inarguably, yeah. I would love to see somebody argue the case for anybody else at this precise moment in time. And I know he's young, and I know it's a lot to heap on him at his age, but for a guy who's 17 years old to be, as footballing wise, to be that mature, and because it's not like he's a 17-year-old who's always making bad mistakes. Sure, sometimes he might do something you go, maybe pass the to the shoot. But that's all players, and he's sitting under a lemon tree with guys like Robert Lewandowski, as I touched on earlier, that I think is only going to aid him massively in his career. So, I think he is. I mean, I don't know about you, Alex, if you agree, but I find it hard to disagree with him being the best, winger in the world at the moment.
I mean, it's 1-0. It's just the way to answer that. It's 1-0 Man United.
Oh, against the run of play, is it?
Against the run of play. Free kick comes in from Bruno Fernandes, and as the ball's whipped in, Lenny Yoro heads it across the goal, doesn't go for goal, heads it across the goal, and Casemiro puts it in the back of the net. So it's Man United 1, Athletic Bilbao 0. It's actually a great bit of play, Connor, when you look at the goal. It comes in, the ball's lofted in. I think it's actually Harry Maguire that plays the cross in. It's a great cross. He chops the defender back in front, whips it in. It's actually Lindelof. Lindelof heads it across, and Casemiro's just got the freedom just to put it in the back of the net. But you've got to say, see the play from Harry Maguire. He just keeps chopping the defender. He can't keep up with him. He gets to the byline, whips it in. So Harry Maguire, who's not your centre-back anymore, he's just your everyman. Your play striker, left wing, left back, centre-back. You play him everywhere because he seems to be everywhere right now for Man United. And as Slipstream says, Harry Maguire is the best winger in the world right now. No, I think, going back to your point, but there's not many players that you would actually say can actually compete with Yamal right now. I would say Mo Salah is probably up there, Connor, just for the level of consistency we've seen. But right now, it's got to be Lamine Yamal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Martin will be back with us, folks, as far as I'm aware.
I will say, though, I wanted to bring up a point Martin made, though, when he was talking about how, Inter went defensive and they were almost inviting the pressure on, right? They did that against Bayern Munich, and it worked because Bayern Munich spent 11 or 12 minutes not being able to break them down. So that seems to be their style, get a goal in front, get 2 goals in front, and then just sit back and invite the pressure on and don't let anybody come close to you. And I think that's what Inter are doing. But with the amount of attacking threats you've got, Rafinha, Yamal, and Lewandowski, you've got so much there that you can't afford to sit back and invite them on.
Absolutely. I'm just going to say that, by the way, there was a penalty shout in this game here that's between Spurs and Bodo a few moments ago. Wasn't given, but the Bodo Glimt player did sort of jink inside. I mean, I think there's contact, but ultimately,
as well.
Ultimately, they've not looked at it.
Down. It's a penalty. Has to be, but they're checking it. But for me, it's a penalty. Has to be. 2 arms on his shoulder, pulls him down as he's away to hit the ball.
It sounds a penalty without obviously seeing it. It certainly sounds it.
Well, I do apologise, folks. I had to nick away there for 2 seconds, and Man U are 1-0 up. So I missed a goal. There's now a potential penalty check that I haven't seen yet that I'm waiting to see back.
We were talking about Harry Maguire turned into the best winger in the world, Martin. The defenders couldn't keep up with him. He was chopping left and right, got to the byline, putting a great ball. Lindelof heads it on, and Casemiro at the back post, frees you like, puts in the back of the net. They're still checking this penalty, but I think it has to be. What they might go back and check, though, is the ball gets played into Garnacho. Garnacho does fall over, and it looks like it may have hit him in the arm. If it's
Richarlison with effort, just saved by the keeper.
Maybe given as a penalty, but this ball comes in. Højlund does pull back, both arms on the shoulder, pull back. See if he's not pulled back, he's getting a shot away there, and that 100% is a penalty. Has to be.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, Connor, a chance at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah, it was a chance for Richarlison. He got himself into a good position, as he does so often, to be fair. and as it slides in, he jigs in. It's a decent shot. I don't think he gets enough power behind it or direction on it, to be honest with you. And it's ultimately a comfortable enough save for the goalkeeper. But you know, he's probably got to do better. He's got to try and at least find a corner and make the keeper stretch for it. With a bit of power, but it's a good chance. It's another one that, as I say, you're expecting him to do better with and possibly even score, but certainly test the keeper and he didn't. So, yes, Spurs racking up these chances, Martin. I mean, just shown here in the counter, Spurs have had 9 attempts. Bodo Glimt have had 2, but it's only 2 of Spurs' attempts have went on target. That includes their goal.
They're checking every possible angle with this. It's penalty. No matter which way you look at it.
Alex, mate, I'll be honest. He's got his arms on him, and yeah, it's stupid. But has he pulled him back, or is it a dive? I don't know so much.
I think he's pulled him back. Decision's coming though. He's thinking about it. Penalty, Man United. Has to be given.
So hold on, VAR see that one, check it, but he didn't see Demaron Dessers, which was absolutely.
And it is a red. He is off.
Which is that's the decision that should have happened for us when Dessers had his shot.
Do you want to know something, Connor? It is the exact same player. It's Vivian who committed the foul against Dessers, has committed the foul against Rasmus Højlund, and he is off. Straight red card.
What goes around comes around, eh?
Exactly.
Aye. Fuck's sake, Viv.
He is
over the top. Spurs are in here again. It's Maddison this time. And it's there. It's 2-0 to Spurs.
Ooh.
This time the chance is taken. For a second, you thought it wasn't going to be taken. For a second, it looked like it was going to trundle wide, but it does go into the bottom bag.
Right.
Again, Spurs getting a lot of joy, Martin, with this Route 1 football. It's got to be said.
Now,
sorry, Alex, but it is a goal.
I've got to say here, right? The amount of talking 4 players did to the referee there. It's only the captain that's supposed to do the talking to the referee. Surely that's bookings there. There's 4 of them surrounding him. They're all going off their nut that shouldn't be a red card to Vivian. You have to then be booking players. Only one was booked in DeMarco, but there should be more players booked there. They were all shouting at the referee that he shouldn't have been sent off, and only Yuri Bericic was booked. But it's Bruno Fernandes to take the penalty for Man United.
Just before that penalty's taken, Connor, is Maddison lucky with that finish?
Slightly. I mean, it's not the best finish you've ever seen. He takes it down well. Again, the first touch is decent. His finish, he gets it away, and that's the main thing. I'm questioning the 3 Bodo Glimt defenders who are getting back, because once it goes through the goalkeeper, there's at least one of them nearby to it that I think should get a toe to that and block it, but he doesn't. Well, they'll take it. They won't really care. As I say, he fumbles it into the ground as well. I thought he was missing it at first because fumbling into the ground, he didn't get a lot of power. But
right, what's happening, Alex?
And he just sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. 2-0 Man United.
2-0 Manchester United.
A slow walk up, and he just waits for the Ariza Balaga to dive. Dives the completely wrong way and just taps it in the corner. And now you feel it's going to be a very long night for Athletic Club. 2-0 down to 10 men. And it just feels like the shades of the last game. You know, the team that was on top for large portions of the game are now 2-0 down and down to 10 men.
It's looking awfully like it's going to be the 2 English clubs in the final.
Yeah, I'd say so. There's not, I don't think we're going to see anything tonight from Athletic Club. They're probably going to take off one of their forwards, try and get somebody in the back line to just shoot up this defence. But I can't see much from Athletic Club now.
See, the problem is they got, what was it? They got the red card we got in the first leg.
Yep.
And then Connor mentioned the penalty we should have had in the man sent off that didn't happen.
Yep.
They got a Roma player sent off against them. So they've had all the luck, if you want to call it luck. But for legal reasons, I'm going to call it luck. And now, Connor, it's went against them. And their players, I mean, I know you can't see because you're not watching the game, but their players cannot handle it.
Oh, that's a very poor ball here, though. Nico, and it's going to be a corner to Athletic Club.
Yeah, look, the fact is that they've had the rub of the green, they've had the luck, and that run going against them we're not used to having to accept that decision. But I still don't understand. And frankly, from what I've seen, there has been no explanation from UEFA, from VAR involved with UEFA, as to why that was not given when it's so blatant. I think that's a disgrace, because I think if that happened in tonight's game and it was Manchester United, there'd be inquiries into it because, it's Man United. You can't do that to Man U? Because it's Rangers, it doesn't matter. Well, Rangers as a club needed to be seeking out explanations there, and I don't think they did enough with it. So poor. But ultimately, they do say it comes around, and it appears as though it has done. And look, I've never subscribed to the notion that it's been anything other than they've just had a bit of luck. But that has seemingly run out tonight. The only word of caution I will say, though, because it's important, is that Manchester United very nearly blew it against 10 men when they played Lyon in the last round. What a save that is! Anyway, Spurs piling on the pressure for this third goal. Falls out to Bentancur, catches it sweet as you like, down on the chest, on the volley. You're thinking it's flying into the top corner of the net, and the goalkeeper gets a big hand to that to touch it over the bar. Bodo Glimt are clinging on by their fingernails right now.
All over the place defensively, Connor.
They are. I said this before the game. Bodo Glimt defensively have proven that they're not, very strong, but they've got goals in them. The issue is they've not shown a lot of threat going forward. They've had one or two chances. They've had a free kick that they could have done better with, but right now Spurs are all over them. And unfortunately for me, we could be in line for what I would conceive to be the worst Europa League final in history.
Well, let's be honest. We know what's going to happen. Man U are going to beat Spurs. Spurs will not beat Man U in a final. That just will not happen. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I haven't really seen much of Bodo. This is the first time I've kind of got a decent chance to have a look at them, and I'm not impressed. I'm really, really not impressed.
Can I ask a question on that, though, right? If this is going to be a Spurs Man U final, which so far looks to be the direction we're heading in, when was the last time two teams who were in the bottom six in their respective domestic league were in a European final against one another?
Yeah, true.
It shows.
It's probably never happened. It's probably never happened. Does that degrade the Europa League?
A little bit, but you've also got to look at the size of the clubs for both Man United and Tottenham. They've probably put everything into this competition. They know that they're obviously not going to get up the league, so they've thought, let's just put everything in it. What's probably worked in their favour is the fact that it was a new league format and you didn't play the same team twice. So you played 8 different teams and they got different teams to play. That's probably worked in their favour a bit. I will say, though, talking of Bodo Glimt, their biggest asset is their home games. If you actually look at the results, they have better results at home because teams aren't used to going and playing in the Arctic Circle. So their games are probably better played at home. They get the better results. So although it's 2-0 on the night, I'd watch the home leg.
What position were Chelsea in the year that Di Matteo won the Champions League?
No, nowhere near as far as Man United. I think they were.
No, nowhere near that far. But were they not like 8th or 9th or something?
Somewhere between 8th and 10th. I just think, look, does it cheapen the Europa League? I don't know. I mean, these are clubs on paper, right? It's a false position for both of them to be in because they're not bottom 6 clubs traditionally. However, they've been so shocking this season. I mean, we spoke about it recently in an EPL show, Martin, that there are seasons gone by where Spurs would actually be concerned about relegation with the points total they've got because it's been enough to relegate teams in the past. And so you've got to say, in that aspect, who least deserving teams from a domestic point of view you'll no see. However, they have thrown everything into Europe. By hook or by crook, they've got through. Spurs, let's be clear on this. Spurs have had the vastly easier side of the draw compared to Manchester United. In all fairness, I mean, Spurs to get to this stage in the knockouts have so far played AZ Alkmaar, which you expect them to beat, although they made hard work of it. Frankfurt, I'll grant them, I was surprised by. I thought Frankfurt would have been better against them. But again, generally speaking, Spurs probably should beat sides like that. And then obviously Bodo Glimt. Whereas Man United, obviously, it's been tougher on them, especially Lyon and Athletic Club Bilbao. They're not easy games, albeit this one's made easier for them with Bilbao being down to 10 men.
Well, Alex, Man U did just have a chance there. Is it Dorgu offside?
Paddy Dorgu on the side there. He was offside, but still, it's a good chance. They're just breaking down this 10 men with ease now. From the opening exchanges, Athletic Club were seeing a lot of the ball. They were controlling it. See now they're down to 10. They're seeing very little of it. They're just having to do defend. They're getting every man behind the ball. And you can see Man United are just enjoying this game a bit because they're having so much of the ball now that they're just getting to waste that bit of time. They're going back. They're passing it all the way back to Onana. Then they'll give it to Maguire. They're just passing it about. And I don't think Athletic have a plan B. In all honesty, they don't look like they've even got any idea what's happening in this game. As Bruno Fernandes comes through and he makes it 3-0.
Jeez,
and it's Man United 3, Athletic Club 0. What a goal that is, by the way. Just great bit of play, and it just stunned this
it's
stadium.
honking defending, Alex.
Shambolic, by the way. There's so many players around them, they can't even get a foot in. And I think somebody said it in the comments, this is going to be a cricket score. This is going to be a cricket score. I mean, the Athletic Club fans are leaving already, and we're not even at half time. Nobody's offside. Nobody's even a hint of offside. 3 players, and Fernandes just walks through them. Just walks through them at ease, puts the ball in the back of the net. Great little flick from Ugarte, and he just passed it into the back of the net.
Yeah, he's a mile onside, and you have to say, to start that all off, it's actually Fernandes making a really good tackle.
It is. It all comes from him. This could be a Fernandes hat-trick before you know it.
It's a really good finish. It's such a composed finish as well.
Again, though, see if you watch it, Martin, he waits for the goalkeeper to dive. That's twice now. He's waiting for the goalkeeper to make the first move. This goal check, there's nothing in it. Absolutely nothing in it. It should be given easily. But Athletic Club are just, they're at 6th and 7th right now. They don't know what is happening.
Connor, you made a random noise there. Everything all right?
No, sorry, just Bodo are trying to press going forward here, and there was a pass on across the right-hand side, sort of the face of the box, but the boy, he's under hit it, and it just left a bit too much for his for the right winger to do. But if he gets that right, Bodo would have been in with a real chance for me to certainly cause some problems. So it was one of those, how's he made an arse of that kind of noises that I was making. Because I think Bodo still need to score today. I know Alex is saying about their home form, and he's right, but that won't count for much if they end up losing this 4 or 5-0. And the way this first half's gone is possible. However, with Spurs, the caveat to that is, can they maintain that throughout, coming out into the second half? Because Spurs, I cannot remember the last time Spurs put in a 90-minute performance that reflects how well they've played in the first half so far.
Can I just say, though, Man United are giving Athletic Club a bit of taste of their own medicine. They're doing a bit of diving, a bit of time wasting, trying to hold the ball up, going over a bit easy. They've obviously got the goals to reflect the good performance, but Athletic Club are just losing their heads. They're putting tackles in.
Here's the chance!
Actually, very silly challenges and just not actually keeping the composure. They've had a few opportunities where they've been through, even when they've been down to 10 men, and they're just doing nothing to show that composure.
Chance, Connor?
Oh, and what a chance it was as well, by the way. Again, poor defending for Spurs, but Bodo doing well, and down the right-hand side, Doggy caught out of position. It's flicked across. And I've got to say, I'm going to check the team sheet to make sure I get his name right. Blomberg gets across the front of Brennan Johnson at the front post, who's sleeping, and he should do better, Martin. You're going to see it back here.
He should do better, yeah.
He's got to test the keeper there. He puts it over, but that's the best chance that Bodo wouldn't have created in this.
Not easy to take that again, like the chance we seen earlier with Maddison. Not easy to take that first time, and because it's coming in, it's got a decent amount of pace on it. But yeah, he should at least be hitting the target. But it's poor defending for Spurs.
It is, and it's just a reminder a warning shot that you can get at Spurs, and I think that's what's disappointing me about Bodo Glimt. They've not tested Spurs enough in those areas, and put pressure on that back line. I mean, they've made Spurs look competent defensively tonight because they've not done anything to get in behind them. But as soon as they did there, what a chance that is. So they can take some hope for that, Bodo Glimt, but I still feel they need a goal. There's the half-time whistle. Has just gone at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Yeah, it is Tottenham Hotspur 2, Bodo Glimt 0 at half-time.
And I should just say that, I mean, you can't come any closer to a fourth, Alex, than that, can you?
Jesus Christ, the ball comes out there from Mazraoui and he hits it with some amount of venom and it smashes the bar. But I'm doing a corner and making weird noises there because that was some just smashed the bar there. But
just as long as all your teeth stay in your head, Alex, that's the important thing for you.
Right, shut your mouth.
Because that's the other thing him and Paul Merson have got in common, Martin. They've both lost teeth live on air.
They have, yeah.
But we are half-time here and it is 3-0 to Man United. I will say the fans, the players, the back staff of Athletic Club are all fuming. They are absolutely raging, but they're just getting a taste of their own medicine, Martin. It just looks like they've got no plan B at all. I mean, at one point, they were all raging for the linesman to put his flag up and say he was offside when Højlund was being played on by two players. So he's nowhere near offside and they want the offside flag up. They've got no clue. They took off two players to get a bit of defensive stability and it's not worked. If anything, it's actually made them worse.
Yeah, I'm seeing it now. Even the fans are going after them.
Yep, everybody in the stadium, if you're not a Man United fan, player, or coach, is going after Nut.
Right, Connor, if you're still there, can you give us your rundown of that first half?
I'm still here, yes. And yes, I can. To answer your question. Look, Spurs have dominated the lion's share of that first half, has to be said. To score in the first minute, I think is beyond even what Spurs would have been hoping for, but it's the ideal start. Bodo, I think, has struggled going forward. They've had moments, they've had possession. They had a free kick as well. It was maybe about 30 yards out for goal that they tried to ping in. Maybe they don't have a striker of the ball on that could maybe have had a shot for there, but Spurs haven't been tested often at the back. They were at the end of the game, as we spoke about, and Bodo probably should be back at 2-1 here, although with some of the chances Spurs have had, Spurs himself could have 3 or 4. I mean, Maddison eventually gets his goal, but he should have scored earlier in the piece. As I said, it'll be interesting to see what Spurs turn up in the second half, because that is where Spurs are this season. Half to half, you don't know what you're going to get. So I think, there's life in this one yet, but as the old cliche goes, Bodo Glimt desperately need the next goal, and they're going to have to come out and be braver and try and really attack in the second half.
Yeah, fair enough. Alex, Bilbao 0, Man U 3. We can say this is a shock, can't we?
Yeah, it's a bit of a shock. I mean, Bilbao, you would have expected at home to be a bit more in the game and a bit more competitive. You can't take anything away from the fact that the red card has changed the game in Man United's favour. I agree with your point. When you look at it, it could be a bit of a harsh red, but it's the fact that he's got both arms on his shoulder. He's pulling them back and it stops Rasmus Højlund getting the shot. But the Man United have just been a different animal in this game. You know, the first 10, 15 minutes, they're a bit shaky, but they've just come out in this game and took it completely to Bilbao. I think that, you know, not many teams, and us included, didn't test their goalkeeper enough, whereas they've had ample shots that have tested the goalkeeper. A couple have been offside, but that goal that Casemiro scored, any decent goalkeeper saving that. The ball comes across and he's right in the near post and he still gets it in at the near post with the goalkeeper standing. I don't know how they change this in the second half, because Man United just look like they're just going to keep coming at them. And it could be a cricket score, easy. We could be seeing a 4-5-0 in this game. And if we do, Man United shut up shop when they come to Old Trafford. So I don't see much in this game for Bilbao, but they're going to need to come out all guns blazing in the second half. Yes, they might leave themselves open at the back to another goal, but they need to throw everything at Man United in this second half.
I said, Connor, after our game in the last round against Bilbao, that I wasn't that majorly impressed with them, and I was actually more disappointed in our actual performance. Look, they're a better team than us. Fair play to them. But I did say, and by the way, I get quite a bit of abuse of people in the comments, but I wasn't massively impressed with them. And you've seen a lot more of this Man U team than I have this year. They're not a massively impressive team, but they are absolutely trouncing football at half time.
Yeah, the thing is, Man United, for me, much like Spurs, when they turn it on, which they have not done very often at all this season, they can be what obviously Alex is and yourself are seeing tonight as Martin just disappears after asking the question.
Get
But
reported that.
they're capable of this type of performance. They've shown that, they're proving it tonight. And so in that aspect, it's not surprising. And how much they're thrown into the Europa League it tells you with the performance levels. But let's be fair. Bilbao going down to 10 men changes the complexion, because if that doesn't happen, is it 3-0 at half time? Probably not. But ultimately, it's the right call for what Alex is saying. So, yeah, it's about making sure they take advantage, because as capable as they are of this, if this game finishes 3-0 or Bilbao get a goal back, Man United are also capable of shipping 3 or 4 goals as well at home. We've seen that against Leon. You just never know. But, yeah, it's very Jekyll Man United.
I think even without the red card, I think Man United are winning this game. It's probably not 3-0, but I think at this point they've had the better opportunities. They've just took the game to Athletic Club. The way they've defended has been unbelievably poor. They've done nothing to actually stop Man United. They've been able to get on the wings with their wing backs or their wingers, go through the middle. They've just been hitting them at ease right now. And Bilbao have done absolutely nothing to fire back. They've had 2 great opportunities that they should have scored, and they've wasted both of them. But apart from that, they've done absolutely nothing in this game to show that they deserve to be winning.
How does this affect teams in England, i.e. Connor, the team finishing 5th, whether that be Newcastle or whoever? Did they get booted out the Champions League and put into the Europa? What's the script?
Doesn't affect them in the slightest. What it will mean, should both Man United and Spurs get through, is that there'll be 6 English teams in the Champions League next season. You've got the potential, depending on how other things work out, you could see, I think, 10 English teams in European competition all in, because you'll have a Europa Conference League spot already. Newcastle are already guaranteed that as it stands, but obviously Newcastle currently 4th, so going for Champions League. You'll have, if Palace beat Man City, they'll be in the Europa League. City win that, then that Europa League spot will drop down, and the team in 7th will get a Europa League spot as well as the team in 6th, and in 8th place will get the Conference League spot as well. And obviously, assuming Newcastle will, because regardless of whether it's Champions League, Europa League, Newcastle are going to finish in a European spot, so therefore their Conference League spot for the League Cup will then drop down to 9th in the league.
And what happens if Chelsea win the Conference League but finish in the top?
Well, again, that's why I say there could be, upwards of 10 teams, because if Chelsea win the Conference League, then that other spot that they would occupy will drop down again. So if they win the Conference League, they're automatically in the Europa League.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming they don't finish in the top 5, which they still could, then again it drops down. So you would then have the team that finishes. You'd have the team that finishes 7th and 8th would get Europa League football, 9th and 10th would get the Conference League. If Chelsea win the Conference League as well, it's very much
a bit of a shock.
So basically, the whole Premier League will be in Europe next season.
Pretty much,
well, half of it will be as things stand. Certainly, teams if the team right now, whoever finishes 1st to 8th are all but assured of some sort of European football next season as things stand. Palace can add to that by winning an FA Cup. Chelsea could add to that as well by winning the Conference League. Yeah, you're looking at potentially 10 teams next year, 6 of which would be in the Champions League.
Does that, and by the way, sorry, Alex, you were saying there about Nottingham Forest?
They get beat 2-0, so they dropped to 6th place tonight. They get beat 2-0 for Brentford at home.
I don't mean to celebrate because I do want Forest in the Champions League. However,
They don't get it because they're sixth, so they'll still get that Champions League spot.
but they are competing with us, and this is their game in hand. So I'm, winning this would put them back above us. So I have to be happy that Brentford are beaten.
It puts Newcastle into third. They've been down in sixth.
Yeah. Are Brentford at home?
No, Brentford are away.
It's at the City Ground. Wow.
And
Can I just say also, we're 9 likes away from 50. Let's get it up to 50, folks. Let's do it. I know this isn't your regular, usual Rangers programming, but come on, we're doing something a wee bit different. We've done it before. We'll do it again. We'll do it in the future if people want to watch it. So give us a like. Give us a subscribe. The subscribers, by the way, in the last week have got up. So thank you very much to everybody. I should say, thank you very, very, very much. Yeah, does this make I've already asked this question just slightly differently, but does the fact that there'll be so many English teams in Europe, does that not just make a mockery of European football? European football used to have to be something that you had to strive to get.
Yeah, but it's in part because there's 3 European competitions. Bear in mind, a couple of those spots are Conference League spots. So without the Conference League, then you would still only have had probably 7 teams in. Look, it depends on the teams. I like seeing different teams get those opportunities. I said it before, Chelsea shouldn't be in the Conference League. The Conference League is not a competition that was set up for a team like Chelsea. See, West Ham being there and winning it 2 years ago, that's the side it was for, or Villa last year being in the Conference League. Those are the teams that those tournaments were designed for. And Villa should have probably won the Conference League last year, in all honesty, but they fell short. Chelsea, they were always going to squish it. I mean, look, the one thing we would say about Chelsea is they don't have a guarantee on it because, they'll play either Fiorentina or Betis in the final. They're the only 2 teams throughout this knockout phase that you looked at and went, yeah, they're the only 2 that could beat Chelsea. Bearing in mind that Chelsea have been playing B teams as well throughout half this competition. Teams like
be playing their kids as well. All competition, they've not had to play like first team players for most of the group phase or into the knockouts. It's only now that it's starting to get to the point where we need to win these games and comfortably that they've actually started putting out players. But it's like they've not needed to for most of the competition. So a lot of the first team players are getting a rest to then play back in the league at the weekend.
Well, yeah, absolutely. It does, but as CGM rightfully says, and I've said as well, it's not designed for Chelsea are there by happenstance. Now, don't get me wrong, you would say that there are exceptions to every rule, and Spurs were in the Conference League a couple of seasons ago, and they proved that just because the size of the club there, that doesn't mean you win it. I mean,
I'll repeat myself, Connor, it's Spurs. That's what Spurs do.
Yeah, but even by Spurs standards, it was poor. They didn't go further in that competition than it did, especially when West Ham went and won it. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's a funny old game, as they say.
Look at the Chelsea lineup. How many of them actually start week in, week out for Chelsea? I mean, they're playing Reece James at centre mid. He's got like a leg of glass, and yet he's still playing in centre mid in the Conference League. A lot of those players, bar maybe Cucurella and Badiashile, not many, and Fernandes, not many of those boys actually start in the Premier League for Chelsea.
Yeah. In fact, the other thing you look at, I suppose it could create interest, right? With that amount of teams being in next year, the English side of things, in terms of the Champions League, if there's 6 English teams in the Champions League next season, which there almost certainly will be if these scores tonight stay the same over both legs, it pretty much guarantees that Celtic and Rangers, should they qualify for the Champions League, will play at least one of those teams each. Because the way the pots will work and the way the league drawings will work, it would be very difficult to avoid them when there's 6 of them. And vice versa for the Europa League, there's potentially going to be 3 in there. So, in that aspect, it will create some battles of Britain, you could say. I just want some different teams in there. I would love, see if Crystal Palace, for example, beat City in the FA Cup final. I think that'd be phenomenal. See if you see Crystal Palace in the Europa League, Forest will be in the Europa League or the Champions League. I think that's a remarkable achievement for clubs like that. Brighton are still in a sniff of European football as well. I like seeing teams like that getting the opportunities and getting in, because they're not teams who get there often. I mean, I can't mind the last time Palace were in Europe. I don't even know if they have been in modern history. So there is that, and let's not kid ourselves here. Almost half of the Scottish Premiership gets an opportunity at European football. They don't all get automatic spots, but the top 3 are guaranteed group stage football of some description, and then 4th and 5th get qualification. And of course, if somebody outside of that top 5 wins the Scottish Cup, then they also get that opportunity. So it's not like we don't have it. It's just our teams don't qualify when they win to these qualifiers.
I must say, just turning it onto a Scottish football kind of chat for a couple of minutes. Scottish teams in Europe, bar Rangers obviously in the last few years, are dreadful. Are absolutely dreadful. And people are going to say, oh, it's sour grapes, it's sour grapes. The only reason that Celtic done okay in the Champions League this year was because they played a lot of teams who weren't very good. If that had been a normal Champions League, Celtic would have been out in the group stage. Now, Champions League's a different kettle of fish. There's loads of really good teams in there. It's really difficult, and I'm not having a go at Celtic. The same way that when we were in the Champions League, we done nothing and we got absolutely humped, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Scottish teams in Europe, in general, Alex, I mean, who were Kilmarnock playing one? Was it Kilmarnock one year? Were playing like a town village painters association and got beat. Scottish teams in Europe are a joke.
And will always be seen as a joke when that's what's happening to us in European competitions. We're always seen as a 2-team league, and it's because it's only ever 2 teams that seem to get into the latter stages of the European competition. And by that I mean into the group stages, because some other teams can't even get to that stage. I mean, Hearts started off really, really well in the Conference League, and then all of a sudden fell flat on their arse and couldn't do anything. So a lot of our teams actually don't have money, and that's probably one of the biggest issues. But they don't spend it properly. They'll get money for winning games and then don't buy players. But then it's because they don't compete against other teams in our league. So if they can't compete against the teams in our league, how are they going to compete against teams in Europe and actually try and show that they deserve to be in that competitions?
Oh, can I also just correct you before, Connor, you come in on this before we get back to the second halves? Up until probably next season, because we are getting a bit of financial support with the new owners, it's not been a 2-team league; it's been a 1-team league.
Aye, very true.
Yes. Yeah. But this is where you need the other teams to step up a bit in Europe. And look, I actually have to say that I think Hearts this year in the Conference League should have got through to the playoff round. They were playing a side in Petrol Cup, sides like that. If your Hearts, unfortunately they failed to do that. Their first season in there, again, it was under the older format, and fair enough, you go, well, it's the first time. Aberdeen have had that opportunity as well. But it's the other teams who are not qualifying. Like, there's some of them you go, how are you not qualifying? I mean, I look at, Motherwell got out to Sligo Rovers a couple of years ago at Fir Park. That's an embarrassment. You just can't be losing games like that. Especially when, you know what? When you converse that with the fact that, look at what St Johnstone did when they went away to Galatasaray. Now, they lost that game and they end up in the second leg, but that was a remarkable result for St Johnstone to go over to Istanbul. That's a ground that Rangers and Celtic would struggle to go and play away at, and St Johnstone went over there and got a result. I mean, absolutely well done to them for that. And even if it was something like that, just that kind of spirited performance to show that you're still wanting to compete and you don't just accept your beat before a ball's kicked because of who you're playing. That's what we need better. And again, Leo pointed out Dundee United getting smashed 7-0 by AZ Alkmaar.
Yeah.
And what that happened to Rangers against Liverpool. But AZ wouldn't have been pumping Rangers 7-0. Liverpool did because it's Liverpool. But again, and same as Celtic, they get bet 7-0 by Borussia Dortmund, and Barcelona done it to them a couple of years ago as well.
PSG done it a time.
Yeah, PSG. So you have to be better in those aspects. But look,
you look at the teams in comparisons that you've just named there. You said like Barcelona, PSG, Borussia Dortmund, and then you're going Sligo Rovers. It's like we still can't compete with even the
taking the smaller teams out against the likes of Sligo Rovers and that, right? regardless of the injuries that we had, our performance in that one time we got into the Champions League was dreadful. Right, it was embarrassing.
Absolutely, by the way.
We'll get back to the games in a wee sec. Our performance in the Champions League was embarrassing. Right, there's no other word for it. It was embarrassing. Right, the fact that Celtic haven't won a knockout tie in like 150 years is also embarrassing. So even though the smaller teams in Europe do nothing, the only reason that Scottish football's get any sort of credence, and again, you're just saying that because you're a Rangers fan, is because of how well we've done in the Europa League. Because in the top competition, both Rangers and Celtic, barring this new format, which will help us if we get into it, no doubt, have been dreadful, have been embarrassing.
Yeah, I think so. I think, there was a period of time, I think, between probably 2000 and 2012 maybe, where both Celtic and Rangers, to be fair, were considered legitimate threats by these teams in Europe when they played them. You've seen Rangers getting very creditable results against teams like Man United. Celtic, of course, beat Barcelona, which was an incredible night for them. I cannot, obviously, like every Rangers fan, I hate them and I wish it was us, but you have to give credit where it's due and say that was quite a result. We've had remarkable nights as well in that period, and there was a while, particularly in the mid-2000s, where they were both doing okay, but Celtic haven't won a knockout game since then. Rangers, on the other hand, despite being chucked down into the doldrums of Scottish football and building their way back up, in 10 years, Rangers went from third division football to Europa League final. That is quite remarkable when you think about it. And Rangers, on average, every season, Martin, are getting to at least the quarter-final stage of the Europa League. You have to give credit where it's due for that.
And I do think Celtic need to take a bit of blame as well for how Scottish football is viewed in Europe. And it pleases me and it doesn't please me to say that, right? Because Scottish football isn't looked on very well and Celtic haven't been good in Europe whatsoever. Apart from, like I said, this season when the results they got you would expect, the defeats they got you would expect. Just
three teams in the bottom four.
Yeah, but regardless, they got to that playoff against, was it Bayern? And Bayern made it to the quarterfinals. So they done half decent against Bayern. It wasn't as if they were embarrassed or anything. So that was a better performance in Europe. But Celtic, was it no 1 year get put out all 3 European competitions? We're talking about the Conference League as if it's a Diddy European Cup. Celtic couldn't win a knockout game in the conference. So Scottish football has to take a real serious, hard look at itself and ask, how do we get better? Not go on and win these competitions. Maybe Europa League, we were a penalty shootout away from it. But how do we get better and show ourselves better in the top competitions? Because let's face it, the Champions League, for the majority of the media, is all that matters.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you one thing. If on the basis of the performances Rangers have put in the Europa League, if Rangers were in the Conference League playing like that, they'd have won it at least once, in my opinion. Because look at the teams Rangers played in the Europa League, and so they probably would have won it at least once. Look, everybody wants to be in the Champions League. There's no getting away from that. But I think the Europa League is still important. It holds some prestige, some credence. Listen, if Rangers win the Conference League, I wouldn't be sitting here going, it's pish, it doesn't matter. It's still a European trophy. You'd still take it.
I'd be saying, we're the holders, now change the colour. That's what I'd be saying.
Yeah, yes. But ultimately, Champions League is the number one competition. That's where you want to be. And then second to that, obviously, is the Europa League. However, this season proved, especially with the new format, look at the draw Rangers got in the Europa League. With all due respect, that's a Champions League draw that Rangers went and pulled out the hat. Again, we talk about false positions. When Rangers are drawing teams like Olympiacos, Lyon, Spurs, Man United, these are all teams who more often than not, maybe except Spurs, would be in the Champions League. And that, for me,
we drew 2 teams that are about to get into the final.
Yeah, exactly. And we should have beat one of them when we get a draw, and the other one got very lucky to beat us because we fell asleep in the last seconds of the game. So by no means did we disgrace ourselves in the Europa League against those two. And when you look at Celtic's draw in the Europa, and again, I'm not have a go at them because it's an easy thing to do. Look, they're going to win a treble, fine, credit where it's due. However, they're drawing the Champions League. 3 of the teams they played finished in the bottom 4. One of them with no points. Young boys, Slovan Bratislava, Dinamo Zagreb, they're all teams Rangers you would expect to beat, just as you would expect Celtic to beat. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. That's a positive thing. You know what I mean? See, when you're in European competitions and you're able to say, well, you're expected to beat that team, it shows that you're at least at some sort of level.
Yeah, it does. Anyway, these games have kicked back off. I must admit, at half time, I wasn't expecting much from the second halves of either games. To be honest, I felt Man U would come out, and kind of keep the ball and take the sting out of the game. And like Connor says, you don't know what Tottenham sides you're going to get in the second half. But Alex, how has the second half started in Bilbao?
Man United again. I'll be Man United again. They've dominated a lot of the ball. They had another penalty shout where Garnacho was tripped in the middle, but I think he just got his own feet tripped up in himself, to be fair. But again, it's just been all Man United. Bilbao really don't know how to defend in this game. They've got no clue. In all honesty, and that's not a dig in any way, but Man United is just coming forward, and there's no connection up top at all for Bilbao.
Have Man U created any chances, though, Alex?
They've not created any so far. They did have one where Garnacho did slip, but apart from that, nothing as they come forward again with Garnacho. But they're just looking to take the sting out of the game.
Yeah, and the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think that's what it's called, isn't it?
It is.
It's no White Hart Lane anymore. How's that game going, Connor?
Yeah, well, I mean, the pace hasn't slowed down in the second half so far. Bodo in the early goings did come out the blocks quite well and pushing, but then Spurs have had a couple of good set piece opportunities. You had a free kick a few moments ago. It was whipped in, a decent ball, knocked out for a corner. Wasteful for the corner, I have to say. They didn't really take advantage of that. Apart for that, it's been kind of as you were from the first half, really.
Yeah, I'm struggling to just find kind of anything to bring up for these two games and discuss, to be brutally honest.
I thought that striker went down when he felt a challenge from Harry Maguire. And see the theatrics when he went down, he started having like a temper tantrum. He was punching the ground, having a right kick off because he didn't get the foul. But there is another check for a possible red card here, Martin. And it is for Harry Maguire.
Oh, for that also.
So it looks like both hands on Sanade, and he does look like he pulls him down, and they are checking this for a red card for Harry Maguire.
And a penalty or a free kick?
Free kick.
Free kick.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it's the last man and they give the free kick, then on the basis of the penalty
on the bench for Bilbao, and the check is over. Play on.
No red card.
No red card.
They're not getting any decisions tonight, Bilbao, are they?
Not one. Not one. Just shows it.
Yeah, play on we go.
I mean, Harry Maguire's got a hand on his shoulder, lets him go before the contact's initiated, lets the player run on, and he feels a hand on his hip, and he just throws himself to the ground. But he literally starts slapping the ground, appealing. And it's quite funny that a lot of the Bilbao fans have red cards in their hand because it's quite comical that their team is the one to be served up first.
That's just because so many people get off against them. That's what that is.
I'm quite concerned about what was happening there, Martin, because Maguire's hand started in the shoulder, but it ended up all the way down at the hip.
He was getting all excited.
Yeah, I must admit, I don't think I want people to stay on the stream. Of course, I do. I don't think there's going to be that much excitement in this second half. I sincerely hope I'm wrong, but I think Tottenham would probably take 2-0, Connor.
I think they would, although I think that would be a mistake because 2-0 I don't think is enough to go over to go up to the Arctic Circle with the form that this side have got. Bodo Glimt at home. They're capable of scoring 2. That being said, Spurs have still had a few chances to make it 3. I think this needs a goal though to bring it back into life. I think if Bodo score this game, I think sparks into life a bit more again. Because right now, Spurs aren't really trying to force the issue and look happy enough that, yeah, if it finishes 2, fair enough, we'll take it. But if we can get a third, it's a bonus almost from the way it's going thus far.
Yes.
Having a bit of fun with the ball now. Like, that shows like he's been one of the worst goalkeepers this season, and he's having a bit of fun with the ball now.
Yeah, he's the last person that should be showboating and gloating.
No,
I was going to say, I'm just waiting for 2 minutes for now. Alex will like, go Bilbao. Onana has passed it away or put it into his own net. To be fair, United have had a problem with their keepers because even when Binder came in against Newcastle, he didn't cover himself in glory either.
What have you made of Euro, Alex?
Lenny Euro, the fullback.
It's the only Euro I know.
No, George Euro.
I think he's actually a good defender, by the way. He doesn't seem to lose many duels for being such a young lad. He actually seems very switched on in the game. Quite strong, quite quick. He reads it very well. I think the issue he's got is that he seems to get shipped out a lot. He was injured for a fair bit as well. But I do like Lenny Euro. I think he'll only stay at Man United for a season or two, and I think he'll then get moved on.
It's just he looks composed in this game from what I've seen. Not much has bothered him. He's actually been decent on the ball as well.
He's got a very good pass in him. Playing in his back three, he needs to be switched on a lot of the game, and he is. Rasmus Højlund's through here though. Managed to play it out wide. Ugarte, straight at the goalkeeper.
I know, I lost all confidence when you said Rasmus Højlund's through on goal here. I didn't even bother to switch the stream to check what was happening.
They're actually doing not too bad though. I will say Man United are trying to get in fourth. I think at 3, I think the game's killed off anyway. But they just, you know what Man United are like? They were 2-0 up against Lyon, and all of a sudden then they were 4-2 down. So they know that they can concede goals very, very quickly.
And by the way, I would just say that at one point in the tie against Roma, Bilbao were 3-1 down and they came back and won 4-3 overall. So they're capable of a comeback as well. Spurs have a free kick here. It's a decent ball. Bodo struggling to deal with it, it's got to be said. Oh, Spurs have a man down here in the box. I think he's roaming about wanting the penalty. That's been given. There's a strike. Blocked. Hits the referee and it will be a drop ball. I wonder if they'll check this potential penalty though. Romero on the deck. It didn't look like there was much in it, I have to say, but going to replay back here.
I will say, Paul
well,
times tonight. I've noticed that I've got to talk about it and I forget. Well,
I've got to see, Martin, that if Alex would let me get a word in edgeways.
Aye, right. That is due to you. That is
do you know, it's one of those ones that Sovold and Romero are both looking at the ball. It's in the air. They're both going to kick it. Romero gets his leg in first, which does mean that Sovold then makes contact with the back of his leg. I think that'd be a harsh penalty, but in European football, I wouldn't be surprised. And he's going to the monitor. He's checking this, you know. I think they're going to give this penalty. I think it's incredibly harsh because he's entitled to go for the ball, and Romero just happens to get there first.
Oh, what a save that is.
Right, before you start fighting, Alex, before you tell us about that save, what were you saying before that, before Connor Woodley interrupted you?
Yeah, what was it? Oh, I think Paul McGonagall did ask if Amad Diallo, you can take that yourself, by the way. Amad Diallo really get minutes tonight. He has been injured since February. I can't see him getting minutes. I think it'll only be, you know, when we're at the 88th, 89th minute, and he'll get minutes just to get get the legs warmed up. But
sorry, Alex, something more important's happened.
Yeah, you can shut up and wait a minute, right?
The referee has awarded the penalty kick. I think it's incredible. I don't know if you've watched it back, but I think it's harsh. But in Europe, it's probably almost always getting given. I don't know what he's meant to do. They're both looking at the ball like going to kick it. Romero gets there. He does kick the back of his leg, But
yeah, it's a penalty.
he's already made the movement to kick the ball.
Yeah, but he's not made
I
it.
just think he's
That's a
unlucky.
penalty. I don't
No,
think-
it is a penalty. I'm not
It's
saying
a
it's not a penalty.
Yeah.
To be clear, to Dougal in the comments, I'm not saying it's not a penalty. It is a penalty. It's unlucky on the boy because Romero just gets there in front of him. If he doesn't, and it's a free kick because the other way about would happen. But a chance for Spurs to go 3 up here and really put themselves in the box seat to get to this Europa League final.
Martin absolutely shitting himself. Why is it always when the three of us are on, Martin
don't
for
know.
whatever reason just gets jump scared? It's always the same.
Absolute fucking weapon.
Was that the life?
Yes.
We should just stand and stare at you.
Watching
Now Martin's have to explain. I'm doing my job. I'm
working. Fuck off. Go away.
Dominic Solanke steps up to take the penalty. Oh dear me, that is dreadful goalkeeping. It's in. It's as casual as you like for Dominic Solanke. It's 3-0 to Spurs. The goalkeeper has absolutely been done up like a kipper. It's not even. Do you know? He just rolls it in to the left hand side. Not even fully into the corner. Not a lot of pace. The keeper's just jinked to go to the right, and he's not been able to then get back over to make the save, but he probably should save that kind of penalty because it was poor. But 3-0 Spurs.
Exactly what Bruno Fernandes did for the Man United penalty. He just tapped it in. He didn't even put it in the corner. He just rolled it in. A couple of substitutions in this game from Man United, though. Harry Maguire and Manuel Ugarte have gone off. Matthias de Ligt and Mason Mount have come on. So, like for like substitutions, to be fair.
Is that both games over?
Aye. I think the ties are over, in all honesty, not just the game. I think the ties
That's
are
what
over.
I mean, sorry. Is that both ties over?
Aye, 100%. I think so. And as Blue Mac points out in the comments, all three English teams are all winning 3-0 tonight. But yeah, I think the tie's over now. I think we're going to get an all-English Europa League final.
Yeah, I would say so.
Nobody likes a full English anyway.
Oh God.
I mean, look, the ties are possible over, but listen, if Bodo score or Bilbao score, then you never know. You know, if they can get back within 2 goals.
Connor, have Bodo even had a shot yet?
They've had 2 shots, none on target.
So, are they really going to get anything out of the game? Listen, you never know. They might get a penalty, they might get something, but I think it's going to be very hard to see them even get an opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the
Chelsea, by the way. 4-0. Nicholas Jackson with the double.
Yeah, and Forest and Brentford is finished as well, and it has finished 2-0 to Brentford.
Yeah, it's now Madison. Well, that's I say now. I'm obviously going to be a bit behind the two of you, but Madison on the floor, a bit of a blow there, Connor.
It would be. It absolutely would be. I mean, he's not long back. He's had injury problems this season as it is, but yeah, they'll be hoping that he'll be able to run that off and it won't be too damaging.
Not a bad sub to bring on though. If they do bring that sub on,
the slipstream the words out of my mouth. Nico Williams diving again to try and get a penalty for Bilbao, and the referee just waves play on.
Yeah, Kulisevski's is not a bad sub to bring on, Martin, to be fair.
Yeah, not a bad sub. Yeah, I think now Alex Athletic are just going to try everything they possibly can.
100%. They are. I mean, they're coming forward here, and Aki Williams is on the ball. He's coming forward, but he's got absolutely no help. Managed to find Sanade, though, who just cannot get the ball out of his feet. And Lenny Yoro just takes it away. But they're just going to try every tactic they've got. Right now, they've had nothing at all of note. But yes, he beats 3 players. But he just throws himself to the ground.
But it's really poor for Casemiro there as well, though.
No, he needs to get the ball away. But they're just letting him have a bit more of the ball. But I mean, look at the instant there. Mazraoui's not even got a hand on him. He touches his shoulder and he flings himself to the ground. I mean, You're never getting a penalty for that in any game. I know even if Athletic Club are involved, you're still not getting a penalty. Like, it's just unbelievable that the tactics they're using, Martin. Anytime they're getting in the box, they're throwing themselves to the ground. And at what point is it simulation?
Yeah, well, if only we had this ref when we played them, eh?
Exactly. This game would have been a bit different because Dessers wouldn't be getting booked for being not awarded a penalty.
No, and Connor, that's that substitution made then Madison off, Kulusevski on.
Yeah, that's a change there. I mean, it's a blow that they've lost Madison, but they'll hope it's nothing more than precautionary and he'll be fine for next week. But Kulusevski, as we said, he's a decent change to make, and I mean, I would go as far as saying that he made all the difference when he came on against us at Ibrox. Because until he came on, Spurs didn't really look like they were going to do anything, and he came on, got them to go back and really, got them back into the fight. So he's capable. Is Kulusevski? He's arguably been their best player this season, if you could pick one out of that bad bunch.
Yes. Seville, there's not a lot happening in the two games. Like, as this is a Rangers YouTube channel, I feel it would be a bit remiss. Yes, we're live at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon, right? Yes, we've got pre-match on Sunday, watch along on Sunday, and full match reaction. Yes, we've got the random rabble on Saturday for channel members. But should we have a wee quick discussion about the Old Firm on Sunday?
Oh, you'd be rude not to.
Would be a bit rude not to, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be a bit rude not to.
Alex, do you even care about it?
I mean, you still care about the game. It's going to have zero impact on the league at all. But it's that little bit of bragging rights in it. You want to win.
Well, the fact that they're already champions means it's going to have zero impact on the league.
Well, I know. Do you know? But do you know, the biggest talking point is probably going to be about this Guard of Honour in it. They want the Guard of Honour at Ibrox. Are we going to do it? Are we not? I think going by some of our chat, you kind of want it to the players to do it to show them that it's actually a bit of a sour feeling,
Not in a million years.
And we're not. I wouldn't want to, but that way, it's that sour feeling. But I still want us to win the game, regardless of the impact. You want to at least build some momentum. I want us to see the players though that are going to be here next season playing, not just the players that are on the big wages. If you're not going to be here next season, then why do you even get to play in this game?
Yes, Connor.
Cheers, boys. Nice for that.
Yeah.
Well, silence on a podcast is brilliant, Alex, isn't it?
I know it. Love it.
It's a bizarre feeling. You're going into this game, you've got the chance to win 3 in a row against them, which is mental. It shows inconsistencies we show against the rest of the league, because the head-to-head games actually haven't been, apart from the first game, too problematic. Oh, Spurs in here though, good before, it's blocked over the bar. Look, firstly, there should be no Guard of Honour. I mean, absolutely not. I'm sorry, but they didn't give us one when we won 55. Okay, we didn't give them one in the past either, in 2019, but there's reasons for that. It's been discussed this morning in TalkSport about the tit for tat, and Simon Jordan was asking Jim White, well, who started it, was it Rangers? And Jim White said, well, Rangers refused in 2019 and didn't really give a reason why. The Jim White knows full well why that is. The fact of the matter is, it's that type of rivalry. You don't give Guard of Honour usually for them, and frankly, why are Rangers going to give a Guard of Honour to a football club who doesn't even accept that the Old Firm derby still exists in the first place? That level of disrespect doesn't merit it. That's why. They're still happy, by the way, to make money off of the brand of Old Firm, because see anything that's sold, or any documentaries that are made, or anything that's saleable in any way that has any kind of Old Firm branding on it, they still get a percentage of that in revenue. It might not be a lot of money, but they still accept it. So that tells you when it really counts, when the money really matters, that they do still know it exists, and it's all just bluster for the outside. So that's why it's not going to happen, and nor should it. Look, for no other reason than the fact that Rangers need to arrest this home form, Martin. We have to win, because I tell you right now, it is unfathomable to me that Rangers would be in a position of losing 6 home games on the spin. That is, I mean, it's already a disgrace what these players have put out at home, and me and Alex have sat and witnessed 2 of those games live in colour. So they really need to, and do you know what, they need to score. They're not even scoring.
There's just no way. Like, the thing is, though, Connor, we've spoke about it a lot this season. We don't turn up against the rest of the league, but it's because they see it as a bigger game to turn up. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got and actually put a performance out in the end. But it's the rest of the league form that has fully let us down this season. Because, as you say, we've got the chance to make it 3-0, but I don't see how we actually do it, because we're incapable of scoring at home. We couldn't score away. We couldn't get a result away from home. Now we can't get it at home.
Yeah, that's so very true. Connor, there has been a few chances in your game.
Well, there was a lovely, lovely interchange of football there for Bodo Glimt. I've got to say, some good one-touch play, knocking it about in the right-hand side or the left-hand side of the Spurs box. I mean, it was a wee flick that was played in. It was brilliant. And when the boy picks it up, he tries to then kink it through for the striker, who you think is going to get on it, and there's just a last-ditch toe to take it away from him for the Spurs defender. But that would have been some goal if they had scored that. That was sublime play, and they are capable of that. But we have not seen it at all in this game to that point. I still feel, and I will say it again, if they get a goal and it's only a 2-goal lead going into next week, then they're still in the tie. And if they get a goal back here, they'll obviously try and hunt down a third. Something has just, I think, been thrown onto the pitch that seems to have distracted the Bodo Glimt attacker as he was going up the wing there, because he kicked it away in anger. So I don't know what that was all about.
And in terms of the Man U game, Alex, disappointing for Man U in the second half?
They've not really had the attacking threat they did in the first. They've kind of just passed it about, really. They've had a few opportunities, but nothing like concrete. I think the last real opportunity they had was Casemiro, and he hit it just over the bar. It was a great save, but see, apart from that, really nothing. A cheap free kick here from Mason Mount, but there's not really much you can see Athletic really doing. He's going to have to whip it in, but they've not had any threat at all in this game.
No, it's been poor, and it brings me on to my question, Alex, about Rasmus Højlund. I mean, I don't see massive amounts. I know that you and Connor pay a lot more attention to the EPL than perhaps what I do. Is he a poor striker, or has it just been Man U's style of play? What's the script with Rasmus Højlund, Alex?
Listen, I don't want to be harsh against anybody, but I think he's a poor striker. When he got the goal at the weekend, that was only his 4th goal in the league. When you're paying the kind of money that you paid for a striker of Rasmus Højlund, he obviously had a great time in Italy, and he's come to Man United. You've got to say it's a poor striker. Yes, it might be a bit of a lack of confidence, a lack of knowing how to play in the league, but I think he's just a bit of a poor striker. They've had a lot more success from Joshua Zirkzee, who, don't get me wrong, hasn't been much better for them, but I think Rasmus Højlund seems to be better coming off the bench. But when you've only scored 4 in the league, you've not really done much. He's not really done much in this Europa League campaign. He seems to be more of the number 9 to hold the ball up and let the other players get the goals. But even in this game, he's not really done much to even remember he's on the pitch. See, if Zirkzee was fit, Højlund would have been off by now.
Yeah, I must admit, Connor, every time I've seen him, I've always just kind of thought he looks out of place at Man U. And that's saying something, Connor, at Man U.
Yeah, he's raw, as Rasmus Højlund. He's not, the problem is Man United, I think, have bought him too early. And with the price tag they bought him for as well. Yeah, he's a decent player, but he's 22. They've signed him really before he had any major club exposure, from Atalanta, who, done quite well the season he was there. But, for a club like Man United, it's a big jump, and I just think he's struggled with it since he got there. Look at what he's dealing with in and around him as well. He's not getting great service half the time, but he does have to do better. because right now, it's like City signed Haaland, the Norwegian, so Man United thought, let's go and sign the other boy for a Scandinavian country whose name sounds similar, because I'm sure he'll be good. In Højlund, and it's not worked, but I still think he is a decent player in there. I'm just not sure if Man United's the right club for him to be it.
I don't think Man United is the right club for any player to be it right now.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah. Saying that, they're about to go on and win another European trophy. So
I know, but when you look at the fact that, look at Garnacho a couple of seasons ago, he was lighting it up and they were talking about selling him for all this money, and his development's just halted at Man United. He doesn't look like he's even nearly as good. But I think, it's like if he goes to another club, I think his form picks up massively.
Quite possibly.
Bruno, that's a good save.
What happened, Alex?
Good strike there from Bruno Fernandes from the edge of the box, but it was a great save. And Højlund comes into the back post and just can't convert it. But they're putting a lot of pressure on. But Bilbao are having to go nearly every man behind the ball because they're just having to really defend here. But Bruno just hits a shot. A nothing shot, but the keeper has to dive just to keep it out.
Yeah, the Bodo Glimt fans, Connor, albeit their team's 3-0 down, are very much enjoying themselves. And that's a very poor challenge for Hague.
He should be in the Hague for that challenge. Some would say.
So
you scared me, honestly. What is going on, man?
No, it was not a great challenge at all, was it? Let's be fair. They made a couple of changes though. Bodo went here as well in the last couple of minutes. So,
tell me, Connor, what was the feeling? What was the reasons behind those changes, and what do those players coming on bring to this Bodo Glimt team?
It's all. The feeling behind the change is obviously to get fresh legs on the park and try and carve out some sort of opportunity to get a goal back and keep themselves just about in the tie. Again, we're sitting here the 77th minute of the game. They've still not had a shot on target, Bodo. And yet they should have scored in the first half, right on half time when that one went over the bar, and they had a good interchange a few minutes ago. The camera just highlighting the three players that are out for them that are obviously, I think, big players for them. Hence why the camera's highlighting them, you'd imagine. So that's maybe fell into Spurs' lap as well tonight. But look, given the injuries they've had this season, I don't think they're going to have much sympathy for Bodo Glimt's injuries. In all fairness, but
Man United just got a free kick there for Rasmus Højlund throwing himself into the defender. I mean, he actually jumped into the defender and then got a free kick for it. See, when your luck's in because that was a free kick in the opposite direction. They did play the free kick short, but Dorgu just smashes it at the defenders. But it was just one of those free kicks that is never a free kick to Man United.
Oh, in here. Oh, save. The doggy just a wee burst of pace there, absolutely, just gets away from his man down the byline. He opts to have a shot at the angle instead of trying to cut it back, and the end up is an easy enough save for the keeper. It's one he should make, because if you're getting beat at your near post at that angle, there's question marks that would be hanging over you. Spurs fancying a fourth here potentially, corner kick.
I've got to say, boys, both second halves have been poor.
They have. Certainly on my side, I don't know about Alex's, but mine has been, Spurs got their third goal through a penalty, which is a penalty, but is also unlucky in the defender. Apart from that.
There you go, Paul. There's Amad Diallo for you. You get to see him tonight. There you go. He's come on for Alejandro Garnacho.
I've got to say, I felt really bad for Diallo, Alex, because he was Man U's best player by a country mile, and he was doing really, really well, and then he got that horrific injury. And obviously he was a player who was at us, wasn't phenomenal, but wasn't as poor as what a few folk maybe thought that he was. And I'd love to see him go on now and get back into that Man U team and do good things.
See if he gets fully fit, then he will 100% get in that starting lineup. Probably over Alejandro Garnacho, because he, as you're saying, he was one of their best players by far. He was the man that kept bailing them out when they needed a goal. For whatever reason, Amad Diallo found themselves in those positions. And I think he needs to be back in that starting lineup. The issue is that as the season comes to an end, he's not really going to have much time to find that form. But you can see him probably lifting a trophy at the end of the season when he lifts the Europa League.
That was lazy corner there for me for Kulusevski.
Oh, I mean, I think you must be at a different part of me here, Martin, because I've just seen Doggy put tail, have a shot blocked and go out for a corner kick, so I must have missed that part.
I'm at 80 minutes, man.
I'm at 80 minutes and 40 seconds.
Well, you're ahead of me then. You're ahead of me then.
Yeah, so I've missed Kulusevski, yes.
Poor.
My bad. Your fault, Alex. You're talking too much.
Your one job is to watch that game and you're still missing stuff. What do you mean?
I mean, you keep talking about Alejandro. You know what I mean? You should have learned by now, Alex. Don't call my name, exactly. Do you know what I mean? What?
Stole your joke before you even got to make it, right? There you go.
I tell you,
I don't really know. What did you say? What did you think was lazy? Sorry, because I probably did see it.
Just quickly, how long did it take Garnacho to come off the park?
It did take him a fair while to get off. I mean, his number was up. Amad Diallo was already on the park and Garnacho was still walking off. So he definitely, I think he's still. Is that him up in the? No, I thought that was up at the top.
It just took him an age to get off the bloody park. No, Connor, it was just before that went for that corner that you discussed. It was a lovely wee pass through to Kulusevski, and he just took the shot, and I was like, that's lazy.
Oh yeah, I did see that. No, that's a fair point. To be fair, I don't blame him having the shot, but I think he could have probably looked to take a touch before shooting, or even squared it across.
By the way, do you know what I found the other day? Sorry to interrupt, it's just come into my head, Connor. Do you know what I found the other day? 2 white hairs in my beard.
Oh, Bodo Glimt have a goal back.
Is that more important than me finding 2 white hairs in my beard?
It's Saltless who gets the goal. It's deflected. I did say if Bodo get a goal back, then you could say that this tie's back alive.
Connor, shut up, we're talking about grey hairs and Martin's beard here. Come on.
Yeah, I found 2.
Well, there's many of them on your head, so.
Well, it was actually white hair on my beard that was raging. Sorry, Connor. Connor, it's a goal for Bodo. Talk us through it.
I just did. Saltness gets the goal. It's good play again by Bodo. Just this time they actually punished Spurs by the good play. Again, that quick one-touch play.
Feet, man.
Saltness with great feet just to cut back inside. Look, it takes, I think, a slight deflection here of Bentancur. Yeah, it does. To go above Vicario. That could be massive for Bodo.
Oh, my God.
Because getting back within 2 goals, and there's still 8 minutes left here, Martin, so if they can get another goal back, it really is game on, but 2 goals is not game over going up to the Arctic Circle, so that'll delight Bodo.
I'm lucky if I find 2 black hairs in my beard, and then Charles, not long term 30, and I'm already getting the salt and pepper sideburns with the beard.
I know, but I didn't think I would ever go grey, but it's just all starting to go grey at one time. No, Salt's or however you pronounce his name.
Saltness.
Saltness is great feet in the box, and like you say, he gets lucky with the deflection. Don't get me wrong, but the feet in the box deserve the deflection. I actually don't even think he's meant it. I think he's just got lost in his own body corner, and his body positions took him there. But it was great.
And look, you know, I don't begrudge that goal for Bodo Glimt because they've had a couple of, although I mean that's their 3rd shot on target, you know what I mean, but they've had a couple of opportunities. They should have scored at the end of the first half. Again, 10 minutes ago before that, they done a similar thing where it was quick feet, 1-touch passing. Spurs couldn't handle it and they got in behind and they were so close. That time they get that little bit of luck they hadn't had before, and then it goes. And you know what? You know, if you're Bodo Glimt here, given the way this game's went, you would not be disappointed with a 2-goal advantage. You'll probably think, we're unlucky with a penalty. But other than that, there's time for them to get another goal tonight before we even go to Norway.
Should they push Connor for a second?
I wouldn't try and force it if I was them, though. I would make sure I don't concede another, because you've just got your nose back in the tie, got your toe back in the door. Don't put yourself back out it again by going too gung ho. But look, if you can create the opening in the moment, then do it. You know, you always get one chance. That's what you're always saying. You get one chance.
I'm not even going to sing the song. Niram, to be honest. I can't really sing. Ted Danson. No, the T1000 is nowhere near as good looking as Ted Danson. And no, fighting fish, I would never dye my beard. Absolutely not.
That's one for those of a certain vintage, of course. Cheers and things like that.
Yes. Everybody knows your name.
Yes, although some would say that Frasier, which was the spin-off, was actually better than Cheers. But
that's only because most of us can remember Frasier, whereas we're too young to remember Cheers. The only one of us who remembers Cheers. In fact, there's two people, T1000 and Wilf, are the only two people old enough to remember.
Brian's probably old enough as well. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, was Ted Danson in Three Men and a Baby?
He was, yeah, he was. Yeah,
I just remember Tom Selleck for that.
That was Ted Danson, Tom Selleck, and the other bloke, whose name I forget.
Who was the other one?
The other bloke.
I can't remember his name.
Who was it?
Not a clue, but I'm just laughing at Connors. I was just the other bloke.
He's fairly popular. Three Men and a Baby, 1987, the year Martin was born.
2 years before I was born, actually.
Steve Gutenberg.
Steve Gutenberg is his name.
The Gutmeister. That's right.
Yeah. Good
Martin,
for you.
I remember who it was.
Yes.
Yes.
Like I say, not long ago, Alex, in this game, and I think Man U will be disappointed. Alex, it's only 3-0.
100% they will. See, the two players that have actually changed this game for them has been Kobe Menu and Amad Diallo. They've actually brought a bit more life into the game. They're trying to get the ball forward. They're just fighting for it now. They really want to get this fourth goal. I think even at 3-0, I think the tie is over. But Bodo Glimt have took off both their Bodo Glimt. Athletic Bilbao have took off both their attacking threats in the Williams brothers, so they're having to rely on other players getting the goals for them. But they've not even had anything of note. I don't think Onana's even had to make a save all game.
Was Ted Danson in Saving Private Ryan?
I
know that's got absolutely nothing to do, Alex, with what's happening in Bilbao.
Right. See, anytime I talk, you go off topic, right? Get up, you.
He was in Saving Private, I think. Ted Danson. I don't know if he was in Saving Private Ryan. I only know Ted Danson for Three Men and a Baby, Cheers, and CSI mainly.
Me and the missus just watched. I think it was on Netflix. I think it's called The Inside Man or something like that. We did, and he plays an old guy who goes into a care home to spy and find a necklace or something. And I mean, the writing is okay, but he's brilliant in it, to be fair.
He was in Saving Private Ryan. He played a character called Captain Fred Hamill. There you go.
Wow, there we go. He was in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Was he married to Whoopi Goldberg?
What, I'm at Ted Danson Encyclopedia?
Something that just says to me that he was married to Whoopi Goldberg.
No, he wasn't married to Whoopi Goldberg. He's been married 3 times, but not to Whoopi Goldberg.
Are you sure?
Well, I'm looking at his Wikipedia page, and she's not mentioned, so I'm fairly sure.
Who was married to Whoopi Goldberg?
Somebody.
Her husband.
Yeah. I know not common sense. I know she doesn't have any of that. But,
well, yeah. Well. Do you know what I've just genuinely done there? Because you asked that question, I went to type in Whoopi Goldberg and I typed in Whoopi Cushion for some reason. No idea why. Who was married to Whoopi Goldberg?
There was somebody who's married to Whoopi Goldberg that you would just go, what?
Not that I can see. Apparently she's been married to Alvin Martin, David Klassen, Lyle Trachtenberg, and she's also had relationships with David Schillen and Frank Langella.
So she was married to the guy who played for West Ham? Alvin Martin?
Yeah. Alvin Martin.
Nearly married Patrick Swayze. That was it. She dodged.
But did she really nearly marry Patrick Swayze? That was all because of the film Ghost.
I don't know.
They're just 2 very good actors. You know what I mean? I don't think there was necessarily.
I don't think she's that good an actor, Connor. To be fair.
Well, she was back in the fucking the 80s. She was quite. Excuse me.
Language, you're live, Connor. Language. That's
You
terrible.
forget. Sometimes you forget you're not just having a conversation with your mates when these things come up. But no, she was back then. She had the obviously Ghost and then like Sister
I'll
Act
tell
and
you,
stuff like that.
Sister Act. I'll give Sister Act one of my favourite films of all time. I'll give her Sister Act. She was great in that. They were
Oh,
all great in that.
Ghost is a classic as well.
Very
What?
poor free kick there from Athletic Club.
Ghost is a classic as well.
Ghost was rubbish.
And there is the final whistle. Whistle. Jesus.
It's the final whistle in Bilbao.
Man
Yes,
United
it's
3,
finished.
Bilbao 0.
Atletico Bilbao 0, Manchester United
Shut
3.
up, you! Is there an echo in this room? What's going on here?
Connor,
Shut up.
you want to give us a full-time report for Bilbao, please? Alex.
No. On you go. Move on. Give yourself peace. Move on.
Yeah, Alex. Atletico Bilbao 0, Manchester United 3. Obviously doesn't tell the full story of the game, but second half, very, very poor for Man U. But at the end of the day, they're taking a 3-0 lead back to Old Trafford.
I mean, it's very poor from Man United. They should have had at least another 2 goals in that second half, but they'll be happy to take a 3-0 lead home. If you're Bilbao, you're probably disappointed that you got that red card early on because it did change the game for them, but they defended well in the second half, enough to keep it at 3-0. I can't see them doing very much to come back in the second half of this tie and actually turn it around. I think Man United will probably go a bit more defensive at home. If they get an early goal, though, it just kills the tie off completely. Cheers, Andy, man. Cheers, pal. Cheers.
Alex,
I thought it was Hector Bucklebank reporting for Bilbao there for a second.
He's just going through early now in his truck. Alex, what's your favourite Ted Danson movie?
I'm no IMDb. I don't know. I can't even tell you. Like you've named like what 3 Men and a Baby. There you go. Give you that one. I don't know.
You've never even watched 3 Men and a Baby.
I have. I wouldn't know.
What happens in it then?
The 3 Men and a Baby. There you go.
Yeah.
God. Well, there's not long left to go, Connor, in your game either, and it looks as if that's going to be the final score as well.
Yes. That turned into a bit of a random ramble there for a second. Two and a half minutes, 2 and a bit minutes left to go. But Bodo will be happy enough, given the way this game's unfolded, to take
Bodo. Is that what you just said there?
I said Bodo will be happy enough after the way this game's gone to take what is only a 2-goal deficit back. I still think, Spurs have deserved the win tonight. I think the second half they haven't been as good as they were in the first half. I actually think that the first half performance is what's merited them having the 3 goals. Because I think it's just a wee bit unlucky the way that the penalty came about, but it is a penalty, so you can't complain. Although Spurs probing through here, this is where Bodo just need to make sure they see this out now and get yourself back to the Arctic Circle and know that you can put 2 or 3 past Spurs there.
You did say, Connor, but at half time that you don't necessarily always see if they've the same Tottenham team in the second half if they've played well in the first.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't, and that's sort of been the case here. The foot's come off the gas a fair bit. The first 10 minutes of the second half started well enough, but after that, it's kind of not. And then okay, they get the penalty, but since then, I don't think it's been a great second half performance. Although they have still pressed to try and get that goal, and then they concede. I mean, you think about it, they won the first half 2-0. They've drawn the second half 1 each. So the performances level has dipped, and that's the thing.
Again, here, Connor, Kulusevski's just knocked off the ball too easy for me. He doesn't look interested.
Yeah, he's not long back for an injury, though, so I don't know if you still try to shake off cobwebs, because that's why he's not starting. You know what I mean? I mean, trying Scotsman, you could. It looks likely, but I would not rule Bodo Glimt out with being 2 goals behind, going back
That's
to Norway.
also the correct way to actually say Man U.
Yes. Force Manure. Manure.
Which is French for shite.
Just in case you didn't know that, folks.
Just in case.
At least they never brought out a visual aid for us. So Spurs are in here, by the way. This could be a fourth for Spurs, and Kulusevski absolutely blazes it wide. He has not had the best night, and you're absolutely slipstream. They bet Lazio 2-0 at home. They did.
Yeah, they did.
They absolutely did.
You can actually see
on the full-time whistle as Ketchy Knutson and Ange Postecoglou shake hands. It does finish 3-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The Spurs 1 foot in the final, you've got to say, although there's more life left in this tie next week than there is the Bilbao Man United tie, I feel.
We have to say, Connor, I agree with you, but it's still Spurs.
It is still Spurs, or Spurs, to use Alex's parliances.
Get up, yeah.
Ted Danson did have an affair with Whoopi Goldberg. There we go, I knew it.
I didn't see that on his Wikipedia, but okay, fair enough.
Going to put that on IMDb, to be fair. But
anywho, look, Spurs will be happy enough. They should get to the final for this position. But if there's a team who can absolutely make an arse of it, well, there's two teams who can make an arse of this position. It is Man United and Spurs. Let's not kid ourselves here. But I think next week over in Norway is going to be interesting. Because if Bodo score early in that game, I think the Revs will start to fray for Spurs, given they've had a 3-0 lead in this game and they've been in such a commanding position throughout it.
Yes, absolutely. And Paul said, Martin, see tomorrow instead of question of the day. How about you name an actor/actress? They're all actors. And guys in the chat try and name as many films as we can. But people have Google, Paul. Hence why I get trounced so much in the Who Am I's. But I will think about it. But there we go, folks. It's finished tonight. Tottenham Hotspur 3, Bodo Glimt 1, Athletic Club 0, Manchester United 3. Still the second legs to come, but it is looking as though it's going to be an all-English final. My thanks to Connor and Alex for joining me for this bumper watch along tonight. Alex, thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Connor, my friend, as always, thank you very much. And I apologise that Alex tried to speak over you so much tonight, mate. Shocking behaviour.
Yeah, I mean, it was a disgraceful performance for Alex tonight. Pleasure. Enjoyed that. Listen, it's Thursday nights, the Europa League nights, and even if Rangers aren't in it, me and Alex are still here for watch-alongs.
See, he was going to say me and Martin there, and he quickly changed it.
Because I was looking at you at the time I said it, but no, absolutely. Enjoyed it. Hopefully we'll be back next week. You never know, folks. Stay tuned.
It just depends on Alex. It just depends on if Alex can control himself.
As Sniper says, the abuse I've had tonight has been shocking for you, pair.
You could say he's
don't even hit you with it.
Yeah, yes, there we go. Folks, listen, thank you so much for tuning in. Please do like, share, and subscribe. We're back. If you're watching this live, we're back tomorrow at 12:30 for the final afternoon rabble of the week, and it'll be all about building up to the weekend's Old Firm. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us. Again, Connor and Alex, thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe. All that good stuff, folks. And we shall speak very, very soon.